All right, thank you so much. Appreciate that. I know we're going to go ahead and try to take care of stuff. Zach, we got a full agenda, so we got to take care of some stuff and try to press along. Make sure you do that. Okay, can you please see if we have anybody?
There's nobody signed.
There's nobody signed. Okay, so first one, I still want to make sure that we cover it. Let's go ahead and move on to item number 4, which is citizens to be heard. This is the opportunity for citizens, visitors, and guests to address the City Council on any issue or any item of the agenda in compliance with LGC Section 551.007. City Council may not discuss any presented issue, nor may any action be taken on any issue at this time. Citizens to be heard are limited to 3 minutes each. Attorney General Opinion JC 0169. Did not have anybody signed up. I will still go ahead and do the courtesy and ask. Going once. Going twice. Okay. Paula, if you can please show us no comments for item number 4. Okay. Council, let's go ahead and move on to number 5. Consent agenda. Consider the approval of the minutes. There's going to be 3 of them that we're going to be looking at. November the 12th, 2024. November the 25th, 2024. December the 9th, 2024. And then we're going to do consider the approval of the payment of bills. But let's go ahead and look at the minutes first on the 12th of November.
Mayor, I'd like to start by making a motion to approve the consent agenda meeting minutes for November the 12th, 2024, November the 25th, 2024, and December the 9th, 2024.
Okay, I have all 3 of them as a motion for us to go ahead and approve. Do I have a second?
I'll show it.
Okay, got a second? Okay, any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, thank you, Council. Let's go ahead and move on to B. Consider the approval of the payment of the bills.
Mayor, I'd like to start by making a motion to pay the bills as presented.
Okay, got a motion for us to pay the bills as presented. Do I have a second?
Second.
Richard, got a second? Thank you so much. Discussion? Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Yeas, motion carries forward. Thank you, Council. I appreciate that. Okay, let's go ahead and move on to item number 6, the presentation of annual citizenship awards. First of all,
Lynette should be able to pull them up, the pictures.
Go ahead and sit down over there. We'll get your one, and then we'll bring our awardees for the evening. Okay. All right, if you can actually put... So, a little background on this. We actually, for those of you that are joining us, so up to a few years ago, we used to award or recognition a Citizen of the Year. We had a title, the McGrath Award, and it was an award that we actually took, and we identified one individual in there. Normally, those were actually taken care of, and they were done internal. There was not a lot in the sense of external. And when the council got together, they decided to go ahead and put a committee together with Alderman Rodriguez taking the lead and having some great committee members like Eva and Nora that actually could join part of the committee to help us out, be able to recognize. The movement was basically we wanted to go ahead and make sure that the people chose the people that should be recognized. So as part of the committee, it evolved from just not only being one, but actually being numerous categories as a way to recognize individuals at different levels to be able to do that. So in the last meeting, we had a chance to go ahead and take care of a few folks, to include one of our youth. But there was one individual that we could not recognize because she was up at college, up at Wichita Falls, and we couldn't do that. So it came in perfect timing because she came down during Christmas, and we were able to get together with her, and that's Calista Severe. We went ahead and recognized her for her accomplishments. I will tell you this, and it's pretty neat, just hearing about it. The committee, I think pretty much said that it was because of what she represented and the ambassadorship and everything it does.
Right. It's important that anyone that gets nominated, their contributions can be just simply making Lytle noted, throughout the county, the state, and Calista definitely did that.
Yeah.
She brought a lot of notoriety to her athletics. And plus she did other things in the school as well.
Yeah, and so with that in mind, one of the things that actually happened, she went out there to school. So I'm over there, we're taking a photo, well, AD was taking a photo, and here we're texting it to the coach and letting her know, and the coach was responding back to her and said, you know, you live in a great community because they take the time to recognize their people. And then she told me, this is Calissa, told me the story, that when they were up there and they were talking, and I guess I was texting her or doing something, and I was just checking up on her, and said, oh, the mayor reached out to you? He's checking up on you? So she basically told the other girls, hey, you need to be connected with your community. You need to be tied to different folks inside your community, and she kind of used Calissa as an example of being able to do that. So she still talks about Lytle. She still highlights Lytle everywhere she actually goes. And it's pretty neat. You know, it's pretty neat to be able to recognize her. So that's the picture. Then we had a close-up. The other one is just the award, just so you kind of have an idea how it looks. There we go. So you kind of have an idea. So, and it's on the category with the youth. So one particular category. The committee also decided 2 years ago, once again, as part of that expansion of the awards and different things, is to be able to recognize folks that have made a difference in their lifetime for our community. And one of those individuals that got nominated and they took a look at and wanted to highlight was an individual that from the time that he was here and he was going through Lytle ISD, through school, after school, events after events, I still see him out on the stands. He doesn't need to be there, but he's always there supporting our youth. It doesn't matter where it actually happens. And that's Mr. Cortez. So, Mr. Cortez, could you please come forward? So before I present this, he is, I tell you, if you drive down towards Natalia, you'll see all the pirate pride and everything that goes along with that. He's the epitome of pirate. Without a doubt, this is the biggest person that just highlights and takes care of our pirates. But with that in mind, he takes care of our community. So here's the rest of the story. You know who Paul Harvey is, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Paul Harvey was always about the rest of the story. So here's the rest of the story. For those of you who commute from Natalia and come into Lytle, and notice that here probably within the last year and a half, that all of a sudden at night it's a lot brighter, I just want to let you know that it's because of this man right here. He gave me a call and said, hey, we've been trying to get this done for
45 years. More or less.
45 years. So we brought it to the council. We talked about it. We figured it out. We got together. Matt helped us out. We coordinated things. We talked to CPS Energy. And then next thing you know, boom, we had lights. I remember, I still have his message. I won't play it right now, but I still have his message. He was so excited. He left me a message. The guys are out here. They're measuring the poles. Remember that? Yeah. So he was so excited. We were all excited. And then next thing you know, it all got done. And it's all highlighted. So it's a lot brighter. It's a lot safer being able to do that. So without a doubt, not only because of your spirit towards our city, but also your commitment towards our city and making sure that things get done. And never forget what it's all about. I think the committee actually did an outstanding job of being able to recognize you as a lifetime achievement award as a citizen. So that is pretty cool, isn't it?
Appreciate it.
Yeah. Yeah, you're going to say a few words and we're going to take some photos. So go ahead.
Well, first of all, I appreciate this. And I read somewhere that when you do something big, it's not just one person, a lot of persons that help. And with that in mind, I wish to thank everybody that helped me, probably for the things that I've done for Lytle, and all the things that I did in life that I believe would help the community. I know the other things that I mentioned are important, but I believe the most that I've done for Lytle is taking care of the little church in Coal Mine for 34 years. And with that, a lot of people helped me. A lot of people helped me, but not all the time, here and there. However, I have 4 persons that were with me including my wife, that's an extra one, they were there 34 years. Every week, we have services every month. And with that in mind, I want to thank especially all the people that helped me that I probably never thank them. I did thank a lot of them, but I got 4 persons that really need to be recognized better than what I did. I want to thank the city for all their help. And I want to mention that in the Catholic hierarchy, all the bishops and archbishops were in Lytle. That's including Bishop Flores, Bishop, I forgot his name, he's in California, and Archbishop, the one right now is here. I knew when I heard that he was coming, and I sent him a letter, so when he got here, it was the first letter that he read probably, so he was the first church that he came out of San Antonio when he got to San Antonio. And besides them, I want to thank the city because they were with me all the time. One store back is Mayor Byron, John Grosius, Jenny Lott, Mr. I forgot the other ones.
Fincher.
And then, of course, the, what was it? Anyway, Mr. Fincher, the one before him.
Okay.
And of course, Bowman and you.
Yes, no, those are good.
Thank you, everybody.
That is good. There you go. Now, so if you can actually stand about, scoot back over here this
And
way.
one thing I want to say,
Yes, sir.
like Mexico say, Viva Mexico, Viva Lytle, and the community of Comine.
There you go. That is awesome. Okay, we're going to take some photos. Step right over here. You know, this is probably one of the first times that I have to tell him because he's always telling me you need to move back or do this. Now I get a chance to tell him. Okay, we're going to hold this like this. We're going to do a handshake. Everybody looking that way. Here you go. Smile over that way. All right, there's going to be one photo. And okay, now I want to go ahead and have the family. Come on up. Family, get up here. And the committee members. Come on up. And I will tell you, let's see if we can squeeze everybody in here. Come on up, come on up. And and one more person that we need to get. Dr. Brackhoff. Come on up, sir. Because you're part of this too, especially with the biggest pirate fan ever. Right here. Okay, you got everybody? Nice smiles. Got everybody? All right. Oh, one more. All right. Congratulations.
Thank you, everybody.
You're welcome. There's a box over there, but I will give it to you. No, thank you. You guys are awesome. Thank you, sir. You're awesome. You know, we got...
Let me mention one more thing. United City, all the public workers, and especially
PD.
yes, the police department. Because in 34 years they managed, we had the big festivals. Thanks to them, and also the security from Mundo, we never had a fight.
There you go. There you go. No prayers, too. They always help out. All right. Okay, next item on the agenda, we're going to go ahead with the next presentation to VRL family. We'll just go ahead and come back to that one. We'll just do it in another meeting. Okay? So we'll just go ahead and press on from that item, and we'll go ahead and go right into the open session. And this is to take action on items discussed. So those of you that are here, you're still welcome to stay here. Those of you that are more than welcome to leave or stay here, whichever you want to do, okay? We really appreciate it. And to the committee members, thank you again. You guys are spot on. Kudos. Did a great job this past year. All right, let's go ahead and move on to A. This is a discussion and presentation concerning Medina Central Appraisal District possible purchase and renovation of the Ridge building located at 728 18th Street, Hondo, Texas. So we'll go ahead and turn it over.
Oops, I'm too short. I'm sorry. Good evening, Mayor and council members. My name is Cindy Segovia.
You can use that.
Oh, perfect. And I'm your appointee to represent you all on the Medina County Appraisal District. Thank you all for your support. We're all spread right now. We don't have other board members here because we're all spread tonight trying to make presentations informing the other entities about our plans, our immediate plans that we need you all support on. Moving here to the next page. Pretty much the presentation is not, it consists, I'm just going to run down over the names of the people that are presently your Medina County Appraisal Board members, the need for building or acquiring real property for a new Medina County Appraisal District office. And in the acquisition of the property, we're going to need to have some interior remodeling take place as well. And then we're also going to touch on the financing and more or less completion timeline that we have anticipated. So the board members consist of Cynthia Malone, she serves as the chair, Jody Jacobs as the vice chair, yours truly, I'm the secretary of the board, and then we have Mamie Navarro, and we have Melissa Lutz, who's the tax assessor, and we have a vacancy going on right now. I'm certain that y'all received a letter to that effect letting you know that there's this vacancy, and perhaps if you have a name in mind that you may want to have considered to serve on the board, to submit that information to the tax assessor, not the tax assessor, to the tax chief appraiser. I'm sorry, Janet Dixon. Currently, Medina County is in need Medina County Appraisal Office is in need of having to purchase real estate. The purpose for that is because of where they've been housed for a while, they've kind of been given an informal notice of eviction last fall. And so that prompted us, we've been looking for new real estate since last year, and we were looking at options available to us from leasing to buying. And we did find, it's a small community, and there's not much out there. Mm-hmm. So therefore, we looked up what's available for leasing, and then it turns out that there's this one place that we're looking at that I'm going to be talking about in our presentation. But before we can even if we really want to purchase some real estate, we need to get 3/4 of taxing entities that participate into the program approval. So that's the reason that we're all trying to get this done before the end of January. Okay, and then later in February, the chief appraiser is going to present to you all the resolution approving this action to take place, should you go in that direction. Right now, according to the Census Bureau, the population in Medina County for 2020 was 51,584. It's expected for this year to rise to 55,937. However, you've seen the exploding growth taking place. Personally, I feel it's going to surpass that number, that 55,937. Okay. The Medina County Appraisal Office has record of new homes being built between 500 to 800 annually. So that's why I'm saying that population stat is going to continue to grow. Currently, the number of employees that operate the appraisal district is 11. with the growth continuing to take place, they're anticipating by 2030 they'll be needing between 2 and 4 new members added to the organization. The current space, like I said, it's Medina County property. It's 3,500 square feet. It rents for $3,500 a month. If you have been in those facilities, you will know that it's very small. It doesn't accommodate for a conference room. It doesn't accommodate space for even the ARB reviews to take place. The space that's available, it doesn't even have, for those meetings to take place, don't even have doors, so you don't even have a confidential conversations take place in there because it's insufficient spacing that's there. There's not enough bathrooms, and unfortunately, it's rat infested as well. Like I mentioned earlier, the county judge has given us the eviction notice to start looking because there's no room at the inn here. Apparently, they already have space for the tax assessor's office that's going to be moving out, so they're anticipating doing something with that whole space, the whole building the county is. And we just got to hurry up and find something more suitable for them. Like I said, the properties that we looked at, I can tell you that we had looked at the Old City Library building was one of the facilities we looked at purchasing, but then again, when we went in there and looked at how much renovation costs would be needed, we're trying to keep costs make it very feasible for everyone. We don't want to break the bank. We just need a house to be at. That's the thinking we're going for. And so the city public library was one of the places we looked at. We looked at buying land from the city of Hondo as well. But then when we looked at costs that were going to be to build a new building, they were just too much. We couldn't do it. And then as one of the properties that we were looking to lease was this bridge building. It initially or previously housed the Hondo Mental Health Center there. And it's kind of like on a strip mall. It's located at 728 18th Street. But the mental health facility or occupants moved next door to their own building now. So this was going to be ideal for leasing purposes. We had even asked the owner if he was if he would even think about selling, and at that time he was not. So we were just looking at it to rent. While we were in the hunt, something came up and he reconsidered and said he would sell the property, the bridge building property. That's what we're looking at. It'll be ideal, plenty of space, plenty of room for growth, but it's going to be 7,900 square feet, plenty of restrooms. It looks like there's plenty of room to accommodate the conference room and all those kind of things. The list price is at $1.2 million. We have secured a commercial contract for it. But we do have a 60-day closing period in the contract 30 days after the feasibility study has been completed. Okay, we have put down an earnest money deposit with a title company for it out of some funds that the chief appraiser had put aside under the building fund. I believe that this has been discussed many years before my time, before coming here. I think there's this discussion possibly maybe more than 10 years ago or starting to, I don't know if y'all are aware of that, but they had started to put some fundings aside for this purpose when the time came. The sheriff person and the chief appraiser have also looked into the third-party financing, and they have met with local 3 financial institutions. What's that moving? I don't know. There it was. Okay. They did talk to 3 different financing institutions, and they have been given a good perspective about very competitive rates for Medina County, being it's a tax-exempt entity. For that would be the loan for the purchase of the land, the building, and the renovation costs involved as well. When the first phase of the construction, I guess after the finish out, we would be, or Medina County would be responsible for the paying on interest only until the loan is finalized. I guess after the renovations, they're looking at having a 20-year term. In that instance, they're looking at monthly payments expected at $10,000 a month. That would be the net increase of $6,500 per month. Remember, they're paying $3,500 right now for rent. So it goes up to $10,000 a month once the loans kick in, and to have a complete new home. Of course, that's not including the other expenses for maintenance, insurance, and utilities. I guess in essence, what the borrowing number that they're looking at borrowing for the whole project is about $1.5 million to $1.6 million is the total cost that they're looking at. Based on that presumption, we're looking at what's the timeline looking like. As I mentioned, we're all doing our presentations to the entities, different tax entities, trying to accomplish that by the end of the month. And then the chief appraiser is going to notify all the entities by February 1st the cost of the purchase, and provide you also with a cost analysis as to that information. And then by the end of February, we're looking at gathering all the approved resolutions from the taxing entities. Should we not have 3/4 approval required, then it would be a dead deal. We would be homeless, needless to say, because then, there's no home there any longer. So we're anticipating closing the purchase of the land by March 15th and the construction loan finalization by May 15th, and start paying the interest on that. Our permanent loan financed, I guess, by May 15th as well. And then the completion of the construction would be by September 26th, 2026. And I think with that, all of that, having said all of that, the county judge would be working with the Medina County Chief Appraisal's Office to, knowing that we need now have a place to go to, but where it's going to take some time to accomplish all of it. And so that's what I'm here for, just to inform you of what's to come and how we need your assistance.
So at a later point you'll come back and it's whether or not for an action it goes on.
Yes, sir. Next month.
Okay.
Yes, sir. This was just an informal presentation because we don't have real substantive numbers to provide you, and we want to be able to do that as well before you approve the resolution.
So for information purposes, just so we kind of make sure, and I know that property because I go to Medina, or I go to Hondo.
Okay.
Over there. So that had multiple tenants in there. So when you take over, you're going to have additional tenants in there?
No, sir.
So you're taking over the whole building?
The entire building. That's why it amounts to 7,900 square feet.
You're going to take care of that?
Yes, sir. So right now they have only one tenant.
Okay. Is there any way when we come back to the council that we can show the numbers of how that's going to make a difference on the organizational, how is that going to make a difference on our residents and financially? I know it's going to be an increase, and I know monthly it's going to be an increase, but how is that going to affect the taxing identities for the actual residents? I think that would be good to be able to provide that information.
I agree.
Whether you already have it in the kitty and, hey, this is not really going to impact us because we already saved. It's going to be transparent, but it would probably be good for us to kind of get an idea of the impacts.
Definitely.
That goes along with that.
And we didn't want to present numbers now that may change, and then you're going to hold us to it. So because we don't really know what's going to be the cost for the whole renovation project.
No, I totally understand, but I think for the council
And that's
to make a decision, I think they need to know, the impacts.
Oh, most definitely. No, I believe that's the February 1st deadline that the chief appraiser has for providing that information.
So you're in that one building that's like a tin building across from the courthouse?
Yes, sir. We are on K Street. And it's a tax office in the front.
Yeah.
And
so everybody's going with it?
not the tax office, just the appraisal district, yes. They're two different entities.
Yeah.
And the judge is going to let you stay there until this is all done? Where you are right now?
Well, we hope so.
Well, you said
Yes.
he gave a tentative eviction notice.
Right. Informal one, yes, sir.
All right, you're just not having to change it until y'all are done.
Right.
Okay.
I would think you would because, y'all are a big part of our county. You're the people that we go to for appraisal and everything else. So.
There's always a good relationship in the sense of working things out. But
Yes, sir.
this is good. This is good information. It kind of gets us start thinking and asking the questions. But just if you could help us out, I think that would be good for the council to know.
Of
the
course.
difference and stuff, because financially we worry about stuff like that.
Of
How
course.
it's going to impact the others.
And I'd like to see the money trail because the mayor brings up a good point. In your slide, you say you're renting from Medina County for 3,500 square feet location. But then in your title, you're Medina Central Appraisal District. And it doesn't make sense why you're paying. I just would like to see where all the money goes.
It's not I'm sorry, sir, for the interruption, but Medina County Appraisal District is not under Medina County.
Right. So if you're coming
So
in,
it's
you're telling
quasi.
me that you're going to be 3 times more on your rental because you're going to go to 10,000. Then that means you're going to get money from somewhere. And does that mean my taxes are going to go up for Medina County or? That I'd just like to see where the money goes, and I think that's what the mayor was asking.
Yes, exactly.
Once you come back and you present.
No, I agree. The 3,500 we're talking about, that's the current rent, yes, sir. But once the loans are, finalized, that amount for purchasing of the land, renovating the land, not the land, the building. It's increasing to $10,000.
Right, that's the expected monthly payment. But like I said, I would like to see where 3 times the money's going to come from.
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
Anything else, council? No. And lastly, we just want to say thank you. Thank you for representing us, taking care of us, in a sense of just making sure that we get an opportunity and we got a place on the table.
Yes,
so
sir.
thank you for what you do and being able to oversee our community and the other communities in Medina County. Thank you for doing that.
And thank you all for the trust in me. Councilman Rodriguez, as a taxpayer myself, I pay attention. And so, believe me, if it goes up, it hurts me too. So, as a representative, not only am I looking out for the city of Lytle, the school district, or Natalia and their school district, but I'm also looking out for my interests.
No, yeah, and everybody knows, all the citizens know that if you see an increase somewhere, that comes from some type of revenue, right?
Right, sir. But no, it's a fair question. And that's why we need to come back with numbers so that to make it transparent, like the mayor has indicated.
Well, thank you. We look forward to your next meeting.
Thank you very much. Thank you, gentlemen. Thank you.
Have a good evening.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you, council.
Bring your microphone.
What's up?
Bring your microphone.
All right, so let's go ahead and move on to B, consideration of possible action concerning resolution number 2501, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Lytle, Texas, approving the terms and conditions of an agreement by and between the City of Lytle and TRC for the scope of work associated with the review of Luisa Laverne Farms acre plat providing for incorporation of preamble, authorizing the city administrator to execute any and all documents necessary to effectuate such an agreement, and providing an effective date.
All right, Mayor and Council, the next few are all similar, just different projects, but this is our normal task orders that TRC provides for work that they're going to review, and then ultimately some of them, like in this particular case, we would be paid back for that work if it's not city related, but somebody else as an applicant. This particular one is just a residential plat that is actually outside of the city limits, but it is in our ETJ, and we are the platting authority in the ETJ. So this is off of Wisdom and Old Frio Road, so up in the Bexar County area of our ETJ. So that's why this one is before you, but again, this one would be rebuild. They're aware of the costs, and that's all been communicated to the applicant. So
Is this a subdivision?
it's just a combining of a couple lots, I think, or splitting of a couple lots. That's all it is. Yeah. So very small residential.
Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to approve resolution number 25-01, the resolution of the City Council of the City of Lytle, Texas, approving the terms and conditions of an agreement by and between the City of Lytle, Texas, and TRC for scope of work associated with the review of Louisa Pena Farm Acres Plot, providing for incorporation of preamble, authorizing the city administrator to execute any and all documents necessary to effectuate such an agreement, and provide an effective date today of January the 13th, 2025.
Have a motion on the floor. Do I have a second? Got a second? Okay. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All yeas. Motion carries forward. All right. Thank you so much. Appreciate that. All right. Let's go ahead and move on to C. Consideration and possible action concerning resolution number 2502, resolution of City Council, the City of Lytle, Texas, approving the terms and conditions of an agreement by and between the City of Lytle, Texas, and TRC for the scope of work associated with the review of a Lytle billboard relocation floodplain study, providing for incorporation of preamble, authorizing the city administrator to execute any and all documents necessary to effectuate such an agreement, and providing an effective date.
Mayor and Council, with this particular one at the corner of FM 3175 and I-35 frontage road, there is the billboard, I think it, for the Western is on it currently. They're looking to keep it on that same property, but they're actually looking to slightly move it forward and go higher up with the billboard. As such, they have gotten approval from TxDOT, but part of our review noticed that the structure would be in the floodplain, and so as a part of that, TRC needs to review it and make sure that everything is copacetic from the floodplain standpoint, since it is a structure within that. And so this is, having TRC's task order associated with that.
So it will be moved, and the height will increase.
Correct.
And the height that's within our regulations.
They may need a variance for that, but this is really the first step. So, yeah.
I think the biggest concerns that we've had, the council has had discussion, has been the height, and then, of course, the lighting.
Yeah.
Too.
Yes.
How much does it adjust for nighttime to daytime, so we don't actually overflare the same.
Yeah.
I don't know what that's like. It doesn't, does it?
I don't
It's right there
know.
in the corner.
Yeah, I don't think it does actually.
And you're going to have, there's some residential.
Yeah, right in that area.
I
Yeah.
would say probably need to. We'll let TRC
Yeah.
do their thing, and then we'll come back
It
to
was
the council.
just kind of that first step.
Yeah, this is us allowing them to go.
Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to approve resolution number 2502, resolution of the City Council of the City of Lytle, Texas, approving the terms and conditions of an agreement by and between the City of Lytle, Texas, and TRC for scope of work associated with the review of the Lytle Billboard relocation flood plan study, providing for incorporation of the preamble authorizing the city administrator to execute any and all documents necessary to effectuate such an agreement and provide effective date today of January the 13th, 2025.
Okay. Got a motion on the floor? Second? Okay. Any discussion? Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All yeas. Motion carries forward. All right. Thank you so much. Appreciate that. So we move on. Mr. Gobi, just so you know, you're welcome to stay, but I know you said that you had a lot of stuff with other committees, so you're welcome to stay. If you need to go, please. There's no disrespect, no nothing. You can go.
Thank you.
You're good. You're good, man. We know how busy you are.
Okay, thank you.
All right, let's go ahead and move on to D, and this is consideration and possible action concerning resolution number 2503, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Lytle, Texas, approving the terms and conditions of an agreement by and between the City of Lytle, Texas and TRC for the scope of work associated with the review of the Newton Drive replat, providing for incorporation of preamble, authorizing the city administrator to execute any and all documents necessary to effectuate such agreement and providing an effective date. Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Mayor and council, on this particular one, this is another small residential property within the city limits on this one, off of Newton Drive near Wisdom. And so this is, what they're looking to do on this one is take 4 lots and combine those 4 into two separate lots. And so, again, this is just TRC's task order on reviewing for that purpose.
And once again, this is ETJ, but
No, this one actually is in the city.
It is?
This one is in the city, yes.
it's on the west side of Wisdom.
It's about a block.
Yes, yes.
Back behind the cemetery, across the street.
Yeah, actually part of the properties would be adjacent to the cemetery on the back end of it.
It's a drive.
Yeah.
You go in and loop around, come right back out.
Oh, okay, I was in the
Yes.
Okay.
Mayor, I'd like to make a motion that we approve resolution number 25-03 as presented, effective date today, January 13th, 2025.
Okay. Got a motion on the floor. Do I have a second?
Yes, I'll second.
You second it? Okay, got a second. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All yeas. Appreciate that. All right, let's go ahead and move on to E, consideration of possible action concerning resolution number 2504, a resolution in the City of Council of City of Lytle, Texas, approving the terms and conditions of an agreement by and between the City of Lytle, Texas and TRC for the scope of work associated with the review of the City of Lytle Water CCN amendments, providing for incorporation of preamble, authorizing the city administrator to execute any and all documents necessary to effectuate such an agreement and providing an effective date.
All right, so Mayor and Council, with this particular one, this is the city asking TRC to provide, so there won't be a rebill on this particular one, but this is really for TRC to work with us as we've been approached by a couple different developers to look at where our current CCN exists and extending that out. And so I know we've had some discussions on that in the past, but this is the work order associated with that. The map was provided for you in the packet of the areas in question. So.
And this is basically us asking here.
Yeah, and they've already started working on this. It's just a matter of getting the paperwork in line. So.
All right. Council?
So on this certificate of convenience, what does that actually mean if we incorporate these properties?
So the properties that lie within your CCN, legally you have a right to serve those properties with sewer or water services, really what it is. And so when you extend the CCN in those areas, we would be obligated to provide water for those. Obviously with this particular instance, and these developments that we've been talking about, some of that would come through development agreements and what that ultimately looks like for those particular projects. But technically, if your property's in the CCN, we have properties off of 2790 outside of the city limits that are in our CCN that we do provide water service to them, and so they would be the same boat.
And they become customers,
Yeah, they would be utility customers.
but they don't pay taxes.
Correct, unless you're in the city. Yeah.
But normally what happens, and I'm just going to say right now, normally what happens with some of these identities, the first step is trying to take care of the utility portion of it. The second step is the annexation.
Right.
Yeah.
The annexation, then they would fall into.
So this is more like the first step.
Yes. And with these particular ones, we've kind of already had some of that conversation with council, obviously, what the annexation piece looks like. I will tell you, there's properties, though, that do exist currently in our CCN that we, haven't talked, obviously, because they're just residential properties that have always been in our CCN, so.
Yeah, excuse my ignorance, but when I see Bill grass farms, I see water consumption.
Yeah.
That's not the case.
No.
No.
Without going into detail because of economic development negotiations, I would prefer that we have that conversation in executive.
Then I move that we approve resolution number 25-04 as presented with effective date today, the 13th of January 2025.
Okay, got a motion on the floor for us to go ahead and approve resolution number 2504 as presented.
I'll second.
Second? Okay, thank you. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Aye.
So we have three yeas
3-1.
and one nay.
Yes, I just like to state my opposition is because I don't know enough information, and but in the future I could easily change it,
Okay.
especially once the study comes to
That's what. Paul, if you can just make record of that, appreciate that. Okay. With three, the motion carries forward. We'll go ahead and press on with the resolution. Okay. Let's go ahead and move on to F, consideration and possible action concerning resolution number 2505, the resolution of City Council, City of Lytle, authorizing participation in a national opioid settlement agreement secured by the Office of Attorney General as non-litigating subdivision, providing for incorporation of preamble, authorizing the mayor to execute certain settlement participation documents, providing a repealer clause, and providing an effective date.
All right, so Mayor and Council, previously the city has accepted funds as far as out of the National Opioid Settlement Agreement that was completed by the Texas Attorney General's Office. There was another settlement that was made here recently by, I believe, Kroger, if I'm not mistaken. And so a portion of those funds would be able to go to anybody that has accepted the overall resolution to be a part of the settlements. In looking at what had been done or not done previously, the Texas Attorney General's Office reached out and said that they didn't have a copy of the original resolution, basically us approving being a part of the settlement. So that's just kind of a cleanup to get a part of that, and then we would also be allowed to then participate in the additional one that has come down. This is the only time we would have to do it, so if going forward there's any additional ones that get settled, then those funds would be able to be allotted to the city. So it's just a one-time deal that should have happened a year and a half, 2 years ago, but they couldn't.
How much money are we talking about here?
The Kroger one is very small. I think in the maybe a couple thousand, but obviously it's restricted to what we can use it for as well. So
that was included.
That's correct. Yes. Yeah.
The only question I have was I see that the municipal allocations were 15%. The administrative cost is 70%. What happened to the other 15%?
That all comes from the Attorney General's office, so I'm really not sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
I didn't miss it. It wasn't included.
Yeah, I think you're correct there. Yeah. Yeah, and this original, I think the exhibits that you saw were the breakdown. That was under the original settlement agreement too. So obviously those numbers change as additional settlements happen. Lynette probably could give what we've received thus far, or generally about right around 4,000. So on the other previous settlements that we had. Yeah.
Council?
Well, Mayor, I'm all for getting more money for the city. So I move that we approve Resolution 25-05 as presented with today's date, 13th January 2025. Get the money in there.
Okay, got a motion on the floor. You have a second?
I'll second.
Second, okay. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Any opposed? Ayes. Thank you, Council. Appreciate that. Consideration and possible action concerning ordinance number 2501, an ordinance of the City Council, City of Lytle, granting a petition for incorporation of hereafter prescribed property into the extraterritorial jurisdiction of the City of Lytle, Texas, and extending the boundaries of said extraterritorial jurisdiction to include said herein within described property, granting to all inhabitants of the said property all the rights and privileges offered by law, binding said inhabitants and all the acts, ordinances, resolution, laws, and regulations of the City of Lytle and the state that may be applied or enforced within the extraterritorial jurisdiction.
All right, so Mayor and Council, obviously, which was provided in the data sheet, Rowan Digital was one of the developers looking in this area to develop a facility. This particular piece of property is not within the current city limits, is not within the ETJ. However, they've also are wanting to potentially ask council for a development agreement, and along with that, some potential tax abatements that go along with that. The only way to do that is to be either in the ETJ or the City of Lytle. So, and the rules have changed in the last few years that when you annex property, your ETJ doesn't automatically extend out. Anybody can ask to petition to be a part of the ETJ, and so they have done that. They've asked for that ETJ petition to be extended to that area. The property in question was provided in the packet, and so this is their request to do so.
And there's no problem later on if they come back and ask to be incorporated in the city.
No, so we would want them in the ETJ first. Mm-hmm. They can then do their development agreement and any tax abatement policy, and then a part of that development agreement, if annexation is on the table, then that would be worked out at that time with council.
So this is to incorporate them into our ETJ.
Yes, just to basically extend the ETJ line around those properties.
And it also will accept the abatements that they've announced.
It will not accept the abatements. The abatements will be a completely separate discussion that will have to go before this board.
It was just part of the presentation. Because it does talk about it.
It talks about that they want to pursue that, but that we are not approving that. No, sir. It's just the ETJ. Yes. Yeah. I think the reason they reference it is because they intend to proceed with a tax abatement from the city or request that, and in order to do that in the state of Texas, you either have to be in the city or the ETJ. So that's why they're pursuing this ETJ expansion.
Same thing goes through as far as water.
Yes.
So
Yes.
Okay.
Well, Mayor, I can go ahead and make that motion. That would be to approve ordinance 2501, an ordinance of the City Council for the City of Lytle, Texas, granting a petition for incorporation of the hereafter description or described property into the external jurisdiction of the City of Lytle, Texas, and extending the boundaries, limits of said extraterritorial jurisdiction to include said herein after described properties and granting to all the inhabitants of said properties and the rights and privileges offered by law and binding said inhabitants by all acts, ordinances, resolutions, laws, and regulations of the City of Lytle and state that may be applied or enforced within the extraterritorial jurisdiction.
I'll second that.
Okay, got a second? Any discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? All yeas, motion carries forward. Thank you, council. We're doing good. Appreciate all that. Let's try to move on to H, consideration and possible action concerning ordinance number 2502, an ordinance of the City Council, City of Lytle, Texas, amending Chapter 42 Utilities by deleting Chapter 42 in its entirety and adopting only Chapter 42 Utilities in its place, providing for incorporation of preamble, providing a penalty of an amount not to exceed $2,000 for each day of violation of any of the provisions hereof, and providing a repeater clause and a severity clause and an effective date.
All right. So I imagine there'll be some discussion on that on this particular one. Obviously, what prompted this was our previous discussion on changes that needed to occur or potentially occur to our drought contingency, our stages that we have. So if you recall that conversation, as I started looking at the utility ordinance, there was just a lot of general cleanup that needed to happen with it. So I took the opportunity, if we were going to make adjustments in that section, might as well do the cleanup at the same time, which is why ultimately it's deleting the whole chapter and basically approving the new chapter in its place. Some of the things, just to walk you through some of the probably the bigger noted changes, and then I know we'll have some discussion on some items. But right off the bat, we didn't really have a clear defining way that for people to apply for water and sewer service, and most utility ordinances will lay some of that information out. So we did add the section 42-2, which is water and sewer service application, and just some general information on what we would require as a part of that application process for new services. We did not currently have a drawn out policy, and it's kind of required if we're going to disconnect people from utility services to actually give them why we would be disconnecting. And so 42-3 is a new section that was added regarding the disconnection and discontinuance of water and sewer services and when those would be applicable. The one thing I want to draw y'all's attention to is under that section is letter D, and this was an arbitrary number that came up with looking at other various ordinances. So I'm willing to make sure that council understands that after a bill is delinquent for 30 days, a written notice in a form approved by the city administrator shall be delivered by regular U.S. mail or by hand delivery to the customer at least 10 days prior to the stated date of disconnection. And so we don't, I'll be perfectly honest, we are not consistent by any means of when we disconnect people. It's just kind of like, oh, it's been a couple months, no one's paid, we probably need to disconnect them. And so this is building in that consistency, but I wanted to make sure that 30 days was comfortable with this board, or if they wanted to have it at 60 days, really we can come up with whatever you want there. I just want to make sure that we are building in consistency.
What page are you in?
So page 5 of the ordinance. Yes.
So focusing on that subject before you move forward.
Yeah.
I have a bill, and for whatever reason, I forget to pay it.
Yeah.
Now I'm going to be charged for late delinquency. I can understand, but I've said this before. We had just built our home.
Yeah.
3 months in, I forgot to pay the bill, and then I got an order to disconnect. I probably got other letters that I didn't realize.
Sure.
It was all within, well, obviously it was more than 30 days, but
Yeah.
it was still within that 2 billing cycle.
Yeah.
And I have a brand new home. Why would I purposely not pay my bill? That's the least amount. Right?
Yeah.
I think 30 days is not efficient enough or sufficient enough to allow a customer that just forgot, or maybe they don't have the money that month, but they're going to double up next month. I don't have a problem with doing the late fees or whatever fees are associated with it, but to say you're going to be cut off, and then you're given 10 days, and at 10 days, if you got a P.O. box, then again, you're responsible for checking your P.O. box, but if you have a P.O. box and you don't go but every Saturday to check your mail, I would like to see more than 30 days, Council.
Yeah, and again, the 30 days is an arbitrary number. Looking at some other ordinances around us and just across the state, when comparing, it kind of runs the gambit. So I just kind of came up with something that made sense. Again, what you see typically, and just in my experience in other cities, is that when they hit that mark, they get either their next notice for bill is like it's a red bill, almost like we see now, like past due, kind of thing. So again, change it, but wanted to call y'all's attention to that because I know that could be a sticking
just
point.
Walk us through to make sure that we're... So say, for instance, it's supposed to be paid by the 10th, right?
Yep.
So we miss.
Yep.
What's the first order of action for our residents? What would happen at that point?
So right now, you want to walk through right now?
So what happens is the 30 days, I have the girls run me a aging report.
So can I go back just to make sure? Okay, so 30 days from the 10th or 30 days from the time of the end of the cycle?
From the end of the cycle.
Okay.
30. So if
we're
we're 30 days net from the time that they should
at
pay.
the end of the month.
Right. So we have bills out by the 1st, by the end of the 30th. So they'll start by the time we get the senior payments in, which is around the 21st. The girls run me an aging report. We go through the aging report. Being such a small city, I can tell we can know everybody in the city pretty much. So I know we have a history of who is going to be late or who's not going to be late. We start making phone calls to these people to see what we need, if there's a problem, or if we can help them. At that time, I kind of make my own decision about if we're going to give them more time or if they're going to give me a reason or if they need to come in and set up a payment plan. We try to always work with people. In the last probably year, I've only turned off about 5 people. We don't have anybody over $500 right now. I do, but the $500 are going to be a little bit more of the big businesses. But if you're more than welcome to come look at the aging at any time, I don't have anybody that's on there super long. We did have some situations where I'm a little bit more picky about, like apartments. We're over at the mobile home park where I know that they may vacate immediately, and I will not work with people that long. That's where Zach and I got talking, is that we have to have a uniform code or agreement of what we do across the board. So just because I know somebody's having problems, of letting them come in and doing a long-term agreement to pay off 3 or 6 months, but I can't always do that with some of the other rental agreements that I know that they could leave the property at any time, and that's where I'm torn on what to do.
Okay, so the current version, and then we're going to put the new one. Okay, so the current version, 30 days out after the end of the month.
Yes.
Okay. They still haven't paid. You all get together and try to figure out what do we need to do next.
Yes. And Liza and Virginia usually start making phone calls to them and asking what the problem is.
And we're not cutting anybody, but that's
no.
Okay, so here's a new one. So the new one, what we're going to do is, here it is. Now it's
30 days after it's delinquent, which would be the 10th. 30 days after the 10th.
After the 10th. So now we're going from within 30 days making the decision. Now
well, hang on a second. It's not always after the 10th because we have the seniors that don't pay till the 25th.
Sure, but generally.
So yeah. 30, right?
Yeah,
so
but it's usually, they start last of the month.
So we're shifting from the time of the cut, not the cut, but the time of the billing closure.
Yes.
Right? Now we're shifting to 40 days. So it's going to be 40 days before we're going to go ahead and decide what we need to do next. Is that correct?
Well, under this, they would get a notice. Under this scenario, at that point, anybody that was on that list would get a notice in the mail saying you are delinquent, you have 10 days to cure, or you're going to be cut off.
So once again, it's 40 days after the end of the closure of the bill, right? 40 days they're going to get a notice.
Yep.
Okay. And then another 10 days.
They have up to 10 days to take care of it.
So then it's going to...
Or come in and set up a payment plan or something.
But Michael, we go out of
Make
our
sure you
way
guys
to
see
find
the timetable
to find
of
people.
how it is now to that. So technically, right now we're making decisions a lot earlier, right? This, what is in here, it's actually shifting it. We got more time, and now we're going to have a written notice at the 40-day mark, and then at the 50-day mark is when an action happens.
They would be sent to be cut off, yeah.
Unless they come in and do a payment plan.
Right.
Sure,
So-
yeah.
And that will be in the letter that they get, right?
Correct.
Yes.
All that information would be provided to them.
So the thing I'm getting at is that after the 30 days, you're getting a notice of closing the account, or
Past due.
yeah. Well, no, it's not a past due, because a past due you could just make it up.
Sure.
You're getting the threat of having your services disconnected.
Correct.
So
in 10 days.
I can
Correct.
tell you, just like a recent one that I did have turned off, there were 10 calls made before I actually had a work order made to turn that off. The girls, and I know as we get bigger it may not be an option, but right now the girls go out of their way to leave messages, get a hold of people before we have that happen.
No, and I think that's great. I'm just trying to come up with a overall, across the board, fair proposition of how to handle these.
Yeah.
Because to me, one billing cycle should not threaten a citizen to cut off your services.
Okay,
For
so
being one billing cycle
let
to
me give you an example of something. So
Now, I understand that if you want to do a probation period, like let's say if this is a new customer, they haven't been here for over a year, you don't want them to have a service for a month and then walk out, right?
Right.
That's what you're getting at.
That's
And-
the accounts that I've had to write off with the auditors.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. It's
So
those.
maybe we can add a probation period, but once that probation period, being months or years, a year, whatever it is, well, that still would have cut me because I hadn't even been here a year.
Yeah. So what this does is, once again, and just to make sure, so we're 30 days after the closure of the bill, and then we're looking at 10 days when, remember, the first one is a letter, and then in 10 days, okay, so we're in day 50 now, be hand delivered to the customer at least 10 days prior to the date of disconnection. So the first letter is basically, hey, give us a call. If you don't give us a call, these are the additional steps that go along with that. But then there's going to be a hand delivered letter. Hey, you need to talk to us because in 10 days we're going to cut you off.
We're going to cut
Is that
you
correct?
off. Yeah.
Yes.
Yes, that was the intent.
And that's what we've done before. So then the boys would go out and leave a hanger or try to make direct.
Rob, you've heard this. Back in '97, this was a completely, total different administration. I found out when I tried to turn on my water and it was off. Okay.
I'm not going to turn off your water.
No, and I understand. I understand that we have completely different administration than we have.
I mean, I mean.
You know, what I'm getting at is that when you receive that bill, you should feel comfortable enough to know that you have time to make that payment or come to the city and make a payment arrangement. Or are you going to receive a call, like you said? That's fine, but I just don't like that. 45 days? That's when the cutoff is?
It's about, well, in reality, they get
When
a...
you get the letter,
Yeah.
and then you still have time.
And
It
what
would
is the
it would be
cutoff?
closer to 60.
Technically, it's if you add all the days and the talking, it ends up being like 60 days.
The only time the fee would be applicable is if we actually cut them off
And that would be on the
60 days after.
Well, your late fee comes in after the 10th, and then if it does get cut off, then you would have a reconnection fee.
and that would occur on the
At the time that the Public Works turns you off.
But at least put in writing when the cutoff date is.
Yeah, but it's on there's little notes that the Public Works take out of it. 30.
I heard 30 and then I heard 60.
He said 60.
I'm adding the time.
Days. I'm sorry. I thought you meant how
From the
much.
initial bill, which I forgot to pay. When is the cutoff? When are you going to?
It's about at 60 days after that bill is due.
So I would like to have it in writing, the number of days.
Okay.
And right now, so you get something written, which is your bill, and then after that, we're calling and we're trying to do.
Well, we're calling before that.
Yeah.
So they start calling immediately, and then we'll send the letters out. Then what's going to happen, if it's the last option, then we will have Public Works go out and do the hanger on the door or at the residence and try to make contact.
I just would like to see it in writing. That way it's fair across the board, and the city administration can work with their customers as they see fit, which I can understand. We're still a small city. But we just need to have that written down.
I mean, the reality is that, and I think I can appreciate, and I think council appreciates the calls that they're making.
Yes.
But there's going to come a time where that may not be physically possible
and the
anymore
girls and I
with
talked
the
about
city.
that. We've got almost 1,800 residents now, and maybe maybe 5 pages, so let's say 30 people are, and it's usually the same people that we call every month, and they're like, oh, okay, hang on, and they get a credit card and they pay. This month I've got 5 that Liza has given me that I need to review, but it's not, we don't have as bad, I think, as other cities.
Okay, well, with that scenario, we would know that in that 60-day period, on the 60th day, the cutoff would occur. And it's understandable that any fees that accumulate between the initial billing and the 60 days are applicable, right?
Yes.
Yes.
The late fees for 1 or 2 months
Absolutely.
per.
And the last thing about this, I really think they really thought really hard about this, is we're going from one piece of paper, so now there's going to be 3. So there's 3 different ways that they're going to be notified now to make sure that they take care of it. So it's a good thing.
And Liza calls, she'll get on there and call 10 times and say, hey, come on, please help me, So
I'd like to jump in on this.
Yeah.
Give my opinion. I don't have a problem with 30 days. I'll tell you why. It gets the ball rolling. And it could be, we can have single senior citizens who live in our communities that unfortunately something may have happened to them.
And we have had that happen.
And if we wait more than 30 days to start inquiring about why haven't you paid your bill, we could be in a pretty big mess 60 days down the road or more than that.
Yes.
So if we're calling, we get nothing. We go out and knock on the door and whatever. There may be some indication that we need to offer some assistance or call in some authorities.
Right.
So I would rather see it 30 days because you do have. I know that you all are not hard-hearted in there, and we've talked about it.
Are you talking a turn-off at 30? Is that what you want? Or
I think the way
No,
I think the way it's
okay,
written,
the way, yeah.
It gets the ball rolling, and you guys are not hard-hearted. So if somebody comes in and says, I'm having trouble, you're going to work with them.
Right.
So this is not draconian to me. So I'm happy with 30 days. You get the ball rolling.
At this point, we don't have any open accounts receivables that I am concerned about. I've got one lady that I can't, but she's also in rehab, but I'm dealing with that with Zach.
Sure.
And we're not changing that 30 days. It was never suggested to change that.
Oh, okay. That's what I was hearing.
No.
You didn't give the 30 days there.
No, again,
I think it's just being clear on when that cutoff is.
Yeah, the clerks will start calling the regular payments of the 10th right after, and then the seniors, she'll start calling right after. So.
Thank you.
Zach, which other areas do you have?
So the 42.5 is generally the same in there. 6. Well, goes 6 to 7. So generally the same. There's just some additional language added for extension of services, and just making sure that we're getting the costs paid to us when we are extending that by individuals that are wanting us to extend our mains and things like that. So just wanted to highlight that. The other section is 42.9, page 9, and continues on to 10. So this is liens for utility service. So if we disconnect and we've gone, or we miss somebody and it's gone several months where they haven't paid us non-payment of bills, then this would give us the ability to file a lien against that property to ensure we get the money that is owed to us. We don't currently have a process to do that built in the ordinance. But it's very clear it's more than 4 months of delinquent services, and that's really on those instances that it can happen, human error, we miss one or two. So it hasn't happened, I don't think, ever in the city, but it could. So, and then really, then we'll skip quite a bit of pages to. Yes, go ahead.
Before you get further down,
you're good.
There was one when I looked through this. One change I was going to ask them to make on page 8, under 42-8. And this language, I'm sure, is a holdover from how it was previously, but this has actually been flipped under state law to where customer information is now confidential by default, and you actually have to request it if you want it to be made public.
Okay.
Whereas here, this is how
they have to request. Yeah.
Yeah, you had to request that it be confidential. The legislature years ago inverted that.
So we need to change.
We need to change that section.
And we can just incorporate the language.
Right in the middle of paragraph.
And I'll just rip the language right out of the statute and put it in there.
Thanks, Austin.
Perfect. Thank you. So I'm going to skip all the way to page 36 of the ordinance, which is section 42104. I really need some clarity from council on this one. So currently, if we issue a drought stage, we're supposed to notify via the newspaper, which doesn't seem really... we can do that if y'all choose to do so, but I can tell you we have not been doing that thus far. So when we go from stage 1 to stage 2, stage 2 to stage 3, we're supposed to be notifying the newspaper. Normally we put it on the bills, we put it on the website. So I just wanted to make sure, was newspaper still appropriate in y'all's minds to notify? We can also keep that in there and add the other methods of communication. Just wanted to see what y'all's thought was on that.
It's a legal requirement, isn't it? No, we have flexibility with that.
I don't believe you have to notify in the newspaper. There's no legal requirement for that.
It's really up to y'all.
Yeah.
A lot of times you never get in trouble for more notice than less. So a lot of times it's in utility bills, but y'all have it on your marquee here, newspaper. Some cities will send out separate mailers, but you're already sending somebody a bill every month, so it makes sense just to put an insert or something like that.
Yeah, if I remember the discussion, everything was going to remain the same. We were just going to have to include the stage 5.
And that's fine. I just can tell you we are not, when we went from stage 3 to stage 4 and then back to stage 3 this last year and we kept flip-flopping, no notice was ever sent. Now, the newspaper might have known and they might have published their own thing, but we were not publicly notifying people via the newspaper. So we were violating our own, technically. Yeah.
Would it, just in case anything changes, Austin, would it be okay for us to put notification to the newspaper if required?
Yeah, that'd be fine. Yeah.
We'll just put it in there if required. That way it kind of gives us some flexibility, based on the council. If legally it changes in the future and we're required to do that as a notification that's already in there, we don't have to change it.
Yeah.
So your statement was regarding newspaper.
Yeah, because that's all it says currently. Yeah. That's the only way it says we're going to notify people now. We're still going to do that. Yeah. We're not going to change that. It's just right now the only thing it states is by the newspaper. So, yeah.
So if it's okay, we can kind of incorporate you guys.
If y'all want to leave it as a newspaper, requiring it in the newspaper in addition to other ways, that's fine.
I just give it the flexibility for the council to decide, depending.
It might make sense to do that because sometimes too your drought restrictions will change
frequently,
rapidly.
Yeah.
So
okay. If required, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm not aware of any requirement, but I will check.
Okay, and then it's the 42105, that very next section, but it is number C, which goes on to the next page of page 37. So this is the critical period surcharges. The language, actually, when I was reviewing everything, we had talked about adding a surcharge, for later stages, but it actually already gave the ability to do that. We just didn't actually say how to do that. So that language is in there, and then of course I added the language regarding, hey, in this section we'll give you more detail on what that is. So I just wanted to highlight that for y'all. Nothing big there. And then we'll go to the actual stages now. So the first one is on page 41. And this is for stage 4 restrictions. And so the first change that was made on stage 4 was we used to have the 30% rule for filling of pools. So under stage 4, you could fill new and existing swimming pools as long as the water was obtained. Only 30% of it was from Edwards Aquifer. Obviously, that's very hard to manage that. So what we basically did is that eliminate that completely and just say if you're going to fill the pool, any new and existing pools, then it's got to be just from another source other than Edwards Aquifer, and just completely cut that out. Make it easier on ourselves. The other thing, the next one under there was that we've noticed we've been giving a lot of water to our developers. They're probably our highest consumer, and so when they're building for construction purposes, and so like Lytle Farms, who's doing all the streets and things like that, they're probably our biggest consumers right now as far as water's concerned, and why we're probably so far over the amount that's allowed. So what we did in there was developers using water for development purposes must bring in water from an outside source. So they would have to bring pump trucks in or something like that. We would not be giving out the hydrant meters, temporary hydrant meters, where they would be pulling that from our source. Yes, sir.
Can you do something just so it matches up to the one where you're talking about swimming pools?
Yes.
Can you add an outside source other than Edwards Aquifer? Just spell it out, just like we did on the other one, so it's very clear. You know what I mean? And we have it on there.
Yes.
What if your supplier uses Edwards Aquifer water? They just gotta.
I don't know that we'll ever know.
Yeah.
I don't think.
As long as they're just not using our water is really the biggest thing.
We need to make sure that's understood. It's not our water.
Nope. I mean, we're trying to. If we need to change it, I'll ask Austin to look at it and try to figure out. But the main thing is, it's not any kind of water that is measured through our area.
Through our area.
That's basically what it looks like. So we need to be careful with that.
And then finally, just added a section that critical period surcharges will be imposed under stage 4. And again, where they can find information to that. Stage 5, as you recall, still on page 41 and then continuing on to 42. So we had it before where you would have to call the emergency meeting anytime we went into stage 5. And so now adding some of the things that we had talked about at the previous meeting. Obviously, just continuing the no person may use groundwater for an ornamental or outdoor fountain or similar feature, which is typical under some of the other sections. We had no person may use groundwater for landscape watering unless by handheld. So that would be the only way. And then on any day of the week from 7 to 11. Obviously, this wouldn't be applicable for gray water or non-potable water. Because pools have been such an issue, we basically saying if we go into stage 5, we're going to restrict the issuance of new pools because they're going to have to fill them, and it's a lot of water. Even if it was from an outside source, it just becomes too complicated. So, so that's why we put that in there. Go ahead.
Did we go away from covering the pools at all?
That would still be applicable because earlier stages, and so everything is still,
So they'll still be required.
Correct. Obviously, use of water to wash down buildings, structures, sidewalks, or other impervious areas is prohibited unless for immediate fire protection. And then the critical surcharges would also, again, be applicable for sure under this stage.
Look at the title of that. Is that how it's supposed to be?
Of which one, I'm sorry?
Yeah, right there.
Yes, the Comal Springs reduction. Yes, that's straight from the stages that Edwards has, so that's why it's in there. Yeah. So nothing changed. Those were the only 5 restrictions based on conversations we had previously. Obviously, if there's any additional ones that y'all thought about, we can definitely add, but wanted to at least get the ball rolling on, so we wouldn't have to call an emergency meeting every single time that we went to that stage.
The only thing I had on there that we kind of talked about it lightly was before, was whether or not we should put some sort of balance to the restrictions. So if we're being asked to cut down 40%, whether or not these high-use facilities or places would need to be able to adapt or be able to do something to show the same, on there. I know we're going to have them in surcharges. Is that correct?
Yeah, the surcharge, obviously, they're would be implemented where in stage 4 and 5, we would charge a certain amount for anything they go over, whatever that number we've determined.
Y'all have it in here at 42,110.
Yes, that was a new
page 44.
Yeah, and that was the last one that I wanted to cover with y'all. So. Which is on page 44. So that was that drought surcharge fee and just what the thresholds would be. And then obviously I would need some direction so I can bring back the master fee schedule on how much we want to charge as far as that surcharge fee is concerned.
Is that where the $2,000 a day violation comes in?
So, $2,000 violation is typical of any health and safety ordinances. So, if anybody is found in violation of this, and our code enforcement officer and PD wrote a citation, and that would go in front of the court, and the judge would determine that he could only go up to $2,000 per day. So, if a violation was found. So that's where that language comes into play.
And that just for council's awareness that's the maximum. Rarely does it. I mean, it's all based on the nature of the violation, but the ticket will get written at $2,000, and then your court will sort out the actual fine. And the fact that it's $2,000 a day, that's there. So if somebody is, if it's a health issue, someone has a backflow device not installed or aware of something like that the city can hit them every day. You could rack up quite a bit of fines by the end of the week. And compel somebody to pay.
It's rarely used, but it is a tool in our toolbox if we need it.
So was there a volume restriction on commercial, or were we just doing surcharge?
I don't currently have that built out. It was just the surcharge. So, I mean, if that's something we want to look at, we can definitely do.
My recommendation would be just a surcharge, because there are some businesses that rely on water usage, and they cannot cut back. So the surcharge comes into play.
Yeah, I see what you mean in the sense of the different portions of it. I just think we still need to, I think at the stages, would it be possible that if we are at a stage 4 or above, that anything that would be considered a 10,000 gallon for commercial would need to be approved by the council? Could we put something in?
You need to continue using water at that?
No, to be considered as part of a development or something.
Oh, as part of the
yeah,
construction
I think
process.
we need to put some sort of, where we're actually looking at anything that we're doing that is going to be considered a high user.
I mean, you can definitely build in your drought. Contingency plan is not just limited to the utility section. It's a whole plan, right? So it can get into requiring covering swimming pools. It's really more of a code, like a building code issue that also has a water benefit. With regard to high, usage customers, some cities will have rules about the proximity of somebody using a lot of water to other high volume users, so that you're not getting the same same types of use concentrated, and the city's only so big, so there'd be a limit to how many people could have something where you're using a lot of water. You can also adjust the surcharge according to the drought restriction stage. So at level 3, you're less punitive to somebody using 100,000 gallons than you are stage 4 and stage 5. It can get it could go up, and that would hopefully have a conservation, encourage conservation. But as far as bringing them to y'all to review, if they meet, I mean, you want to build that into the requirements for your issuing a building permit. Mm-hmm. Those don't typically come to council, and if it did, I don't know what y'all. I wouldn't want you to deny a permit based on the water usage. I'd have to look into that a little more.
Just think about it and just try to figure out what it's just something when we're in the critical stages and stuff, there's certain things that we can and cannot do. So being able to have a little bit of...
And not to go into, I guess, super detail, but I think I know where you're going, Mayor, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I mean, we do have some businesses that may have indicated that they were going to use less water than they actually are using. And so I think, it would have been nice to know that ahead of time. There may have been some restrictions or things we would have maybe potentially put in place if that was the case, if we would have known it was more than what they actually are using. I think that's where you're going with that.
Or at the very least, like you said, change the timing of it so it's not being constructed in a stage 5.
Yeah.
Maybe put a prohibition so they have to wait until...
Exactly. I mean, in a sense of just pause. If you guys can kind of look at that and just try to figure out as a way to kind of be able to help out. I mean, if everything is good. The problem, when it comes down to it, our city is going to be required at the end of the year to show a reduction. And if the people that actually have a high usage are not doing something to help us get there, then it's going to come back to bite us, the whole city, for us, in the sense of going beyond the threshold. So we have to be able to do something to be able to do that. And at the same time, if something's going on, too, somebody's thinking, hey, you know what, this is not the right time. Mm-hmm. Just like with pools, right?
Yeah.
The same thing. This is not the right time for us to be looking at something like this. We're very interested, but until we get ourselves in a better position. Mm-hmm. Unless we want to bring the water rights.
I was going to say, or like you said, if they have some other means to...
Bring the water rights, to be able to say, hey, we'll provide the water rights that we plan to have as usage for the whole year, and that way it doesn't affect our city.
Yeah, it's not to pick on anyone particular, but can a city restrict the usage of a car wash, for example?
So what I found on that was... a lot of cities will distinguish between car washes that have the capability of recycling water, a certain percentage of water, and those that don't. Those that don't, it's obviously just going back into the storm system. It's a one-time use. If you're able to recycle it, it's a little different. But yeah, I did find where cities prohibited like charity car washes, that kind of thing. At the end of the day, if a business is located in the city limits, car wash or otherwise, right? But if they're in the city limits and they're willing to pay the rate the city charges for the water, there is no, unless you're going to get into rationing water, which is the last ditch effort. So the fix generally is to adjust those rates, and I was talking with Zach about it, it might be where you put some rates in, you let them run a year, and then at the end of the year you're able to see, did they actually cause a reduction in use or not for high-end users? And if not, then you can probably push those rates higher, more punitive or structure them differently.
Yeah, if you penalize them, you're trying to encourage conservation. So the likelihood is that hey, stop using so much water, otherwise you're going to continue to pay. It's going to hit your pocket.
But yeah, at the end of the day, I've got other cities where they're agricultural uses, where no matter what you charge someone, it's worth it to them to fill a pool or water a certain amount of land, that kind of thing.
No, but this is good. I mean, honestly, this is really good compared to what we actually had before. Just little tweaks here and there.
Yeah.
Just try to help each other.
So do we need to table this for now and let the gentleman work on some of these changes we talked about?
The only last thing I would ask under that drought surcharge, so I want to make sure that because when we had presented it before, I think it was at like 3,000 was our threshold. So in looking at it and just looking at our general consumption, I think it made sense to go 5,000 on residential and 10,000 on commercial. So if going over that amount, then that's when they would start being charged that surcharge, and then. for every 1,000 over that amount. And then the only last thing, I will just need some feedback so we can bring back the fee schedule to actually build in what that fee is going to be, because that's a completely separate of
So
this.
we could table this motion and give you time to...
We could bring it back together if that's what you want.
Yeah, the 2 items, and then bring back the changes accordingly.
And this is probably, typically when we've done these in the past, we've put it, because people want time to adjust to a rate increase like that. So you'll typically do it like at the billing cycle after the one.
Yeah.
And so if you passed it right now, we wouldn't put it until the March 1 bill, if that makes sense.
Well, and we'd have to post in the newspaper as well because the ordinance changed. So.
Usually it's about 3 months.
You want them to get one bill at least saying, hey, next month these rates are going to increase. So that takes it.
All right, council, can I get a motion for us to go ahead and table this until...
Yeah, how long do you need? One cycle?
I mean, I'm hoping that we could get it done and have it to you at the next meeting. I feel like that's probably doable, Austin.
Yes,
Yeah.
I think so.
All right, then I'll make a motion that we table this item until our next regularly scheduled city council meeting.
Okay, perfect. Second? Any further discussion?
I don't know if you still have it, but in Word, you can have like the editor's draft. Can you submit that? You've done that in the past. The red line highlighted copy.
Yeah, I can do that. There was
It makes it a lot easier to read and understand what...
the only
It's tricky on this one.
the one with this one is very tricky. There's going to be a lot of red because I moved a lot of sections around.
From this version?
From here on, it should be easy.
Yes.
Correct. From here, whatever changes we make, yes.
This is a complete rewrite.
Yeah, there's a lot of formatting and just general movement.
We'll bring this
So.
and we'll bring the fee schedule too.
Correct. Yes. There'll be 2 separate items, but they'll be together. Yeah.
That'll be good. Okay. There's no further discussion. All those in favor for us to table this until the next meeting? Any opposed? Okay. That in mind, it is 8:08. Let's go ahead and take a 10-minute break. Appreciate it.
And there's some pizza back there for you.
Well, we had a nice Christmas break. We didn't have a meeting, so we're just playing catch up.
Everybody up in one. Business now going to run 10 hours. No. Take your nap. Well, how about 7? You have to get to work anymore.
That's like the week.
Houston, they started like 10 a.m. They just go all day.
This
We got another EMP factory first.
And I'll get you the cover tonight.
Just remember where we were. Yeah, I'm not going to be there.
I'd like to see. I mean, like, excuse me.
She's going to stand up and unplug it. I'm taking those mics away. I've got a citation here for all of you.
Yeah, who's back there all week?
Paula, this is more stressful than being at work.
I'm a bus. Exactly.
You can do that bigger thing on this thing here. Coffee.
Where's Pete's cake? You should have
Oh my goodness. Me too. I was talking and I was
they hired a new guy with license. When he came in, and I'm done. Then I got another job offer somewhere else. I just got here 2 weeks after that. When I had the license for us and all that. I haven't seen him. Have you 2 minutes more? I'm done. And then I got another job offer. Figured if it was 2 weeks or something. But looking back, I never wanted to try to but tracking stuff that paid them to know back in the town and then now we're going to be hired. I would be this morning. We have formed this morning on Friday. And we got 2 of them today. And we're ready to work already, you know. I'd like to get that one there. I'll be on course. I think we need another person. So I guess Zach's been asking us if we could hire that other person too, you know.
So you have the comments about it.
Tired. Too much shit on his head. These kids are coming back funny there. You know, the whole kid. He's back to custody of the family. Affecting his head. So we're going there and do that. Pretty more shit. Like I said, I'll wait a couple of months and then hire people and just that position is hiring and the interim director, and I think you're not going to talk about this before. Director. So right now I'm making good money, you know, I'm paid and overtime. And my wife talked to me, I said, that's good. You know, and then it's been bad, you know, for my 30 salary.
But your salary, overtime doesn't, you'll get caught up.
And you're only going 27 years.
I gotta tell Pete, you know, you need to take this money.
Yeah, I need to take me time off. I took off the week of Christmas. And then New Year's too. Those 2 weeks I took off. And let's talk about take off.
No, she was like, I have to get on and
yeah, so maybe intern. You know, try to probably make it full time. They give me till Friday. I'll close that out at 4:59:55. Let you know before then. We had that interview at 10 o'clock in the morning. And we were like, well, since we're here early, let's let you know. I'll take that position. The director's position. Okay, so we have to see me to get my license and all that, so. was like, I kept asking, why? I was like, and then I got to have you guys and I was like, I'm going to run into him eventually, and I'll run into him over here. Yo, man, he was like, I come there, like, I'm here. I was like, oh, okay. Well, I was like, he'll be here, so, you know. You're still working, so let me fucking do this. But yeah, like it. Don't tell me what to do. The whole thing is like,
Making pretty good time.
I mean, for what was on the agenda.
Yeah.
I thought the Medina one would go a little quicker, so I'm like, especially because it's just like we don't have numbers. So
Yeah, it's really preliminary. Yeah.
I mean, they're the ones that wanted to meet. That way, it wasn't caught off guard when it happened, but still.
Any word from team?
And I even put, the little box on the bottom. It was like rush, and I was like, yes. So clearly, it's not that much of a rush for them.
There's a lot of claims in there, so maybe it's taken over.
Maybe. Maybe they had people out too, with just like still coming back from. Could be. I don't know.
Yeah.
But I thought at least maybe I'd hear from them like today, saying like,
I was thinking today.
Hey, we got it. Like we're still reviewing, like, or something. Like. Unless they've taken on that.
Those be 10 minutes, but sometimes they Zach has got
Just take care of business. Take care of business.
I know. Also, something because we're not.
I was just wanted water.
This whole phone thing is having me all dehydrated.
I heard that everybody started your stuff is so messes with the people.
Okay. Zach, are we good?
You are good.
All right. So this is going to show page 22. Yeah. Appreciate that. Let's go ahead and move on to item number I is consideration of possible action concerning award of competitive seal bid number CSB number 2024-10-05 for the plugging of the City of Lytle well number 3 to Underground Water Resources LLC in the amount not to exceed $140,544.
All right, so Mayor and Council, we went out for bid for the plugging of well 3, which is, if you recall, open violation that has been out there for a while and needed to get done. So TRC worked on the design of everything, and we sent out the bids. We received 3 submissions back on that bid, and after reviewing everything, they are recommending UWR, Underground Water Resources, for that. The base proposal amount is that $140,544. However, there is in the bids a second amount, which is the $121,544. That is, it could become that if Edwards Aquifer decides that the design associated with that particular amount would be appropriate for the well. So there's 2 ways to plug it. It's really Edwards' decision on what they will allow. We've filed that application with Edwards already. We're just waiting for a response back. So we're recommending to go with the higher amount and know that it could drop and we could be, get a little bit of a break from the cost at the 120. As far as, obviously, as you know, we didn't know what the number would come back at, so this is a unbudgeted amount. However, we do have a couple options. Myself and our finance director looked at it. There are 2 particular options we could use. We have a jumbo CD that is making 3.05 interest, sitting at $144,711 right now. And then we have a water money market account. This isn't related to impact fees or anything. It's just a separate account that was open. Is only making 0.20 interest rate now, and but does sit at $191,000, so significantly higher. But there may be some things that we need to still take care of within our utilities. The sewer fund as well as the water fund. So that could also be an option, but wanted to provide that we do have money in the bank for that under those 2 potential options. So
We need to make that decision.
I would like to know which one you would like to go with as a part of that, but either way, the cost would be covered under that. So, and along with awarding of the bid is the decision that needs to be done. My recommendation would be, because we're making so little on the water money market account, I know it's significantly higher at the 191 than we need, but we're making $30 a month, if that, on it, and it just makes more sense. We have some maintenance stuff that we probably can take care of, and that'll give us the flexibility to do that. So that would be my recommendation.
But Council, we do need to take action on this. This is something that has been an open item for the city for a very, very, very long time. Appreciate all your efforts for us to be able to do this. We've discussed this. This is something that needed to be done. This is an old well. It's been sitting there, not vacant, and we need to be able to take care of this and get it plugged in. So that would take care of that violation notice that we had.
So in the information you provided, you talked about the extra money that's left over.
Mm-hmm.
How does this, or can this relate to the stormwater?
You mean as far as the extra that we would have after the fact?
Minus using it for whatever we need,
Yeah.
whatever purposes.
So my goal would be that this would be rolled into our utility fund, which is consisted of the water, sewer, and the stormwater. So it could be rolled theoretically. I don't see why it couldn't. I mean, it's in the same utility fund.
Because the stormwater utility fund, if it was adequate, could be used to fund this as well, right?
Yes, but we don't have any money in the stormwater. Yeah, we're just starting it. So
that was my question.
I don't think the stormwater could, because it's that would be more on the drainage side of, and this is the actual water well. So I don't think we could use the money from stormwater, but we could roll money into stormwater to then take the excess into that portion of the utility fund to then expend on projects in stormwater.
Yeah, and that was the other part of my question. If you roll it into the stormwater utility fund,
Mm-hmm.
would you be able to pull it out? And you would have to spend it. So,
Yeah, probably not.
that is
Yeah.
my question.
Yeah.
Okay. Anything else?
Well, I can make a motion on this. I move that we accept the competitive sealed bid, CSB number 2024-10-05, for awarded to ACE.
Nope. That's a different one. Underground water resources.
Oh, okay. To underground, well, number 3, to Underground Water Resources LLC, and not to exceed $140,544, and also that we take the money for this out of the CD that is
The water money market account.
water money market account at the very lowest.
Okay.
Which is the one valued at 190.
191. Yes.
I'll second that.
Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All yeas. Thank you, council. We'll get moving on that too. Let's go ahead and move on to J. Consideration of possible action concerning award of competitive seal bid number CDB 23-0100 for the water system improvements to ACE Incorporated in an amount not to exceed $418,907.45.
All right, so Mayor and Council, this project is the CDBG project, which is for a 12-inch water line along Main Street 132 going out towards Coal Mine. So this was the CDBG project that's associated with that. WTC Engineers is the selected engineer for the project, and they have been completing all the bid documents for this one. They went out for bid. As the data sheet said, we did receive a total of 5 bids, and they are recommending ACE Construction, or ACEE, but it's ACE Construction as the low bidder, and all the references are in check for that. Now, I did indicate their full amount already budgeted. Most of that is true. There is a portion, it's 5%, that we will at some point have to build into our budget as the project goes, as a part of the costs that are not covered by the state funds that are associated with this project. But it's 5% of the total, cost of, and that includes engineering and all that. So just wanted to give you a heads up on that.
This actually, if I'm not mistaken, this is the section that starts stops before the creek.
Correct.
Starts on the other side
Yeah,
of the creek and it goes out to Quartz Coal Mine. Right?
That's correct. Yeah, so it's about at 2790, but on the opposite side of the south side of Main Street, right at 2790. And then heads up to the creek, terminates. We'll pick back up on the other side of the creek all the way out to basically the first street that begins Coleman.
So going back to your comment, could that be the valve that cuts it off when they start working on it? Yes.
Okay. I know there was a valve involved in that. So.
Yeah. Public Works figured out which valve is which valve, you know?
And the only reason it terminates at the creek is because the cost associated with that is astronomical. And so at some point that might be something we can entertain, but at this point, to get this project off the board, we wanted to at least get this portion done. So.
And it's being funded mostly by the grant.
Correct. Yeah. It's 95 and 5, so I think it's a pretty good deal.
So this $418,000, almost $419,000. This is just for engineering? It's for engineering?
That's for construction. That's just construction. We already issued agreements for WTC on the engineering half. They've designed it. And then also GrantWorks is handling the grant for us. So they're the ones coordinating everything and getting all the paperwork in line and all that kind of stuff. So, yeah. So there is some additional cost, but we've been paying those out of the grant money that we've already been receiving.
$418,000, that's grant money.
That's most of it is grant money. Yes, sir.
Well, I move that we do approve this bid, seal bid number CDB 23-0100 for water system improvements to ACEE Construction LLC, an amount not to exceed $418,907.44.
Got a motion on the floor. Do I have a second?
No second.
Second? Thank you. For discussion, just so you know, once again, it's very rough for the council, since it was asked about the 5% calculated. It's approximately about $21,000 that would be out of our pocket compared to that amount being covered by the grant.
And I think when you include the other, it's like 25 is what it actually comes out to be. So.
When might you expect that?
Well, we're starting to receive grant funding already, so my guess is that this next budget cycle is probably where I will go ahead and add that in so we can cover those costs. This next budget, correct? Yeah. Just so we'll have that built in, so it doesn't surprise us. Yeah. But they're already expending some of the funds to work on the paperwork. I mean, Mayor and I get emailed all the time when new funds are sent over, so.
Possibly you're saying that excess money from this money market thing that's going into
it could, yeah. You could potentially cover that. Okay.
Just no idea.
Yeah.
Any other discussion? All those in favor? Any opposed? The only thing I just want to add on that one, I just want to say thanks to Matt. I appreciate your help.
Yes, sir. Thanks to the Sheriff's Office.
It's been going on for a while. So
yes.
This is a good thing. Okay, let's go ahead and move on to K, discussion and possible action concerning requests from CPS Energy regarding taking ownership of 7 overhead streetlights located in Las Palomas subdivision.
All right, so Mayor and Council, I was contacted in the email you'll see there, but I had a phone conversation as well with our representative with CPS Energy on the government side. So the Las Palomas subdivision, which is outside of the city limits off of 3175, going south, but it is a portion of it is in our ETJ. CPS got, I guess, word from the HOA that is in that area that they are either not going to be paying or they're going defunct or something to that extent. So they are no longer going to be doing the street lights or paying for those. CPS practice is that they ask the municipality in the area, and because it's in our ETJ or a portion of it is, that's why the request is coming before us. But so obviously, we need to decide whether that's something that we want to take on. My recommendation would be not to take it on, as conversations in the past have really centered around us not really being involved with that subdivision and anything associated with it. Previously, it was communicated that the county's responsibility for that, and so if that's still the desire of this council, then that would be what my recommendation would be.
You know how many people live out there?
I don't. Sorry.
Full, I mean, it's pretty full.
Only 50? How many mobile homes we're talking about?
50 to 100?
Yeah.
Yeah, probably closer to the 100 mark, somewhere there.
Well, I've never been back there.
Did I miss? Did you mention the HOA?
Yes, I did. Yeah, the HOA, I believe, it's Melissa with CPS indicated that they're basically going defunct, that they're no longer going to be, over there. So that's why ultimately they reached out. Correct.
So CPS would not want to.
CPS would not normally. It's either up to the cities, or obviously the recommendation would be go seek it from the county. Atascosa County, if Atascosa County wants to pay for it. If the answer is no, ultimately CPS is going to turn them off.
Who's that community's utility company?
It's CPS, but CPS is not going because just like our in our city, right? For subdivisions in the city, they're paying for a portion of it, and then eventually we take over the responsibility of those lights. So they built it in that the HOA was going to be paying for it, and that was their responsibility. But now that they're going defunct, CPS is like, you either pay for it or we're just going to turn them off.
So I don't mean to seem, I'll comment on this because it seems ludicrous that why in the world would the city want to spend our tax dollars for a community out of the city when, if we're going to put street lights, we ought to put them in our own city. It seems like to me it'd be odd to even ask that question to us, that CPS would even send a letter like that. That's just my 2 cents.
Yeah. So the 7 lights, how many are those that are going to be?
That's a good question, and I couldn't get that answer. In the ETJ, I couldn't tell you.
I can tell you, don't quote me on this, but I'm just thinking of the ETJ, maybe 1.
What would the bill look like for those lights?
I think she indicated in that email, energy usage, $10.25 each per month, but I can tell you that in talking with Lynette, that's not really what it looks like for our street lights. So, you guys see the bills, that come through. It's a couple $100 each month that we're paying on street lights sometimes. So, I don't know, how accurate it really would be.
So, is it okay if I go ahead and call for executive session on this one?
Certainly, y'all have legal questions about it?
Yeah.
Sure.
Okay.
We can roll it in then.
Let me just go ahead. Can we just roll it into the executive session? Is this okay? Council, can I get a motion for us to go ahead and move that item into executive session?
I'll make that motion.
Okay, have one. Have a second. Got a second. Thank you for that. And we'll just go ahead and move that item into executive session.
Still vote on that.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
All those in favor? Any opposed?
And that'll be under 551071.
Yes. Okay. Thank you so much. Let's go ahead and move on to item L. Discussion and possible action concerning well number 2, city administrator.
Mayor and Council, just wanted to give you an update that UWR, Underground Water Resources, who we've been handling the putting the pump back in out at well 2, has completed that project. We have started flushing it every so often. We have not done any testing yet on that, but we wanted to just do a few flushes before that happens. But being that we haven't, the last time I talked to you, they were still out there. Just wanted to give you an update that work has been completed, and we'll start probably testing by end of the month, if not 1st of February, and start getting some tests back, and fingers crossed that it looks good. I can tell you that the first run, Pete brought a nice little cup of water over to me of it, and it still had a little bit of a smell, but it looked a heck of a lot better than it ever has. So hopefully that's good things to come. So.
And once again, this is for us to just have another a source, legitimate one, just as a backup. They'll continue to monitor it, sample it, and everything, just so we can go ahead and take care of that. Awesome.
No, just wanted to update y'all on that.
Oh, yeah, it was on action.
It was? Okay.
That was not action taken. Is that a motion on the floor? Do I have a second? Second. Okay. Any discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? No yeas, no action. Thank you. Okay, let's go ahead and move on to item number 9, Department of Animal Care and Control. Okay. Jump right into it.
You can try it, but it might be dead battery, so.
Uh-oh. I need to get something. We got some.
It's a AAA, I think.
Let's see. Okay, it moved. It moved.
It's going.
It's gone? Okay. All right.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Going over the stats for December. We had 13 calls, no traps. We had 1 animal euthanized, 5 returned, 5 intakes, 9 adoptions. So our animal count right now is 15 dogs and 5 cats.
Cool.
We had 1 that was transferred to Humane Society. Our proxy volunteers, again, we had 11 volunteers for 107.5 hours. Bella's Pantry, again, to this we had 84, again, and we had 8 that were new arrivals. I said myself and Austin went to the to training, Live Oak and everything, and we completed the course. So again, we're up and running, and we're good now.
1-day course, 2-day?
It was 2-day course.
2-day course.
The euthanasia course was a 2-day course, and yeah, so we're good and we're certified.
Awesome.
So. And then upcoming events are now awesome. He did attend in the beginning of the year the ACO course and get news on that. He did pass it. He's certified.
When is his probation up?
We have
6 months.
6 months.
6 months. So he's probably maybe midway through.
Yeah.
Okay.
He's about midway through.
So make sure you guys look at his pay, because I know it's based on promotion and certification.
Yes, sir. Dragonfly services again will be held this Saturday, and also again will be everyone will be off for the Martin Luther King holiday, and Bella's Pantry is scheduled again for the 25th. Awesome. Any questions there, gentlemen?
No. Daniel, I just want to say thank you for everything you're doing out there. Looks great, feels great, and I mean in a sense of just the facility itself, the Bella's Pantry has been really good. Thank you for helping out with all that.
Sure.
And those numbers, I mean, I think the last, what did we have? The person at 1 something?
It was 157 was the first.
Parking out there, 1:57 in the morning, waiting for Bella's Pantry to open up at 7:30. No joke. No joke. They get out there. So there's some people in need out there, and we tried. I think this last time we ran out, didn't we?
Yes, sir. Everything actually went. We went
literally the last car, and we had maybe like a bag left.
Sure.
So everything, I mean, it literally does go, and it goes really good. So please thank all your folks for all their efforts and everything that they're doing. Appreciate it. Unless you guys have anything. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Appreciate it.
All right. Computer usage was low because it was kind of slow during the month of December. 61 adult and 70 on the kids. We had 1,431 checkouts, and we had 8 users and 19 loans on the new e-reader. People are starting to learn about it, and so we have more people coming in. They're like, I'm locked out of my account. Well, they were still using the old app, so now they're able to get into the new app. And then we had 9 new accounts, 30 account renewals, and April, May 18 library cards. And it was story time on Wednesdays. We had 2 weeks off because of the holidays falling on the Wednesday. So the last one I think was on the 16th or the 17th of December, and so then we just did one on the 6th or the 7th. And we have crochet group this month, actually this Thursday. and had a meeting we had one last meeting for Atascosa County in December. We normally only go till November, but some of the libraries hadn't finished paying their bills, so we had to go one more month.
Hey, the library's getting bigger over in Charlotte.
Yes, it is. It was originally the library, and then we're still doing our reference section, and we had to redo the YA. It's actually supposed to be teen, so I don't know, something along the line, something happened, so we're relabeling just the teen section, and we don't have to reprint the barcode, it's just the spine label. So
that's the last thing.
Those are the last 2 sections that will be finished. Yes, so it's been taking...
Awesome.
Yes, and still offering curbside. We actually have a couple more people actually added to it. One lady, her child is ill and in the hospital a lot, so she's having to do the curbside. And this is the month of December, and those are mainly a lot of Christmas displays. What we had. We had a couple of events with the kids where we made some crafts and stuff like that, but I was in and out because I had been taking vacation. But it turned out really nice.
Could you do us a favor? Can you let the council know what's going on with the driveways so in case they talk to any folks between now and Thursday?
Yes. Okay. So what happened was they tore up the driveway on the exit side of the library, and they told us they were going to do this last year. Yes, and then it didn't happen, and I'm like, okay. So then today, April said the guy just came in and told us he's closing this side today, and I'm like, okay. Well, they didn't close it till about 3 o'clock, and they started hammering around that time, digging it up. So they tore it all up. So they put barricades on that end. So then we had to put cones on the driveway so they wouldn't come around, because people will come around that. And so everybody was parking on that left side. So right now, they said it's going to be completed by Thursday. But we don't know. Yes. But I don't know why they tore it up to begin with, because to me, it didn't seem like there was anything wrong with it. And so I was like, okay.
It's part of this sidewalk project.
Okay.
They're going to bring for that whole driveway.
Okay, I was like, why did
project.
they?
Yeah.
Okay.
They'd be tearing it up, and they might have a pickup where they come in and do all that. Can you take a photo tomorrow and get it to Richie and myself, and we can also help you get the word out? Just be a little bit patient, between now and then.
Yeah, because I know the Somerset bus comes to leave the kids, and luckily it's not the big bus, it's the little van that they're bringing in.
Did you already talk to him?
No, I didn't get. He was in and out before I could even say anything. So
we need to talk to Mr. Cross then.
Yeah. Well, actually, it's not. It's the ROTC and
the bus is Lytle, right?
No, it's a Somerset bus.
Oh, it's Somerset.
Yeah, they bring the kids at lunchtime, and then they bring them in at 4:30. It's the other one is the Zekla Academy.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So.
Got it.
One quick question: the library card renewals, do they actually expire, or are these people?
They just need to update their account yearly, just to make sure that they have the same phone number, address. Because some people will change their phone number, or they move somewhere else, and so that's why we ask that they.
And that's normally what you ask with somebody that has been in the law.
Yes, that's all. Yeah, that's it. Okay.
Good.
Keep up the good
work. Thank you, ma'am. Appreciate that. All right.
Come on, PDP.
Come on, Pete.
Come on, Pete.
Hey, you talk about folks being together. Look at this. You got some folks here. We're just everybody here.
I heard there was free food.
That's why Juan came. That's why Juan came. That's what he said.
Just told them to say we got free food.
Juan came.
Well, I'll go through it, but I want Pete up here for it as well, and just to obviously get a sense of how we do this as well. So obviously for the month we had total work orders of 63, water 47 of those. You can see again, lion's share of that right now, at least in December, was the rereads for the water meters. Obviously gas was not taken off there, but we'll make sure that gets taken off next time on there. let's see. Sewer, we had 2 main stoppages. I can tell you that these are primarily over in the mobile home park, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes.
We're probably getting called every single weekend for this one particular area. So I've asked the guys to have some conversations with management over there and try to help us attack this and make sure that we can try to nip it in the butt, because it's definitely been an issue. But it's the same. It's the rags. Every time they pull it out, it's the rags over there. But it's primarily the like I said, almost every weekend we're getting called on that one particular area. So.
Yeah, and this is more on their end, right?
It's on their end, but it affects our system. Yeah. So. Miscellaneous, again, we'll remove all the gas on there, but just some of the items that they had for the month of December there. Current leaks, and actually this is been slightly updated. I talked with Pete earlier. So the first 2 at 2790 and I-35 that are on there, those are actually been completed. And then also the 2790 and McCoy Lane, as well as Live Oak and Mason. So those 4 can come off of that list.
Are they on the map right there?
I think some of them might be. We'll have to.
I could tell that you guys already moved some over
They
here.
did move some, yes.
So is any of these receipts are still going on?
There's 3, 6, 7, 8. There should be.
I think those 2, the 2 on 2790 are the ones that have been done, correct?
No, those haven't.
Those have not.
No, those are the double.
Oh, that's the double one.
Double one at that same address.
These over here too, and then, but we've come a long way.
Yes.
Definitely. We still have the ones in Wisdom Road, right?
Yes.
We still have those on there, and then the one over here on 2790.
Yes.
Yep.
Okay. So I think we're good. And then if there's any of those that need to be added, just grab the stickies after the meeting or tomorrow, and then just go ahead and put them in here.
Pete's been coming in and checking them off and pulling them and adding, so as they go through them. And again, I know our biggest problem right now, and they've been communicating, is really the locates are just really lagging behind from the other companies, especially like fiber and things like that. We're calling them in, and they're just taking forever to come out, and so really puts a bind in us getting out there to be able to do the work on those.
See, you guys are still working on the one by the nursing home, right?
Yes.
Okay, so council, just to let you know, they're trying to figure out a way to be able to with the valves and adjust so they can actually work on the T that is over there. If for some reason we can't figure out how to do that, or we might have to go ahead and go into an evening where we lower the pressure just so they could have enough
time. We'll have everything ready and just set it in.
Just go ahead and switch it, but we'll keep you informed on that.
Yeah.
Right now everything is okay, but we need to be able to take care of that.
Yeah.
Particularly before it does get big and we start having some issues on that. But they'll keep us informed that goes along with that. Okay.
Just the list of the work orders there, just the line share of them, so you can see there. So the pumping numbers, so I know it says 0. Obviously it wasn't 0. But we didn't have the pumping numbers by the time it came in. So the total pumped for the month was 80.45 acre feet, which then puts our total water pumped from January through December at 826.76 acre feet. So obviously a significant, high above the amount that we're allowed after the reduction. Still no word on what that looks like for us, but just FYI that's where we're at. So
yes, we need to go ahead, and that's the reason why for the next one we need to go ahead and get that provision out there so we can go ahead and start enforcing, and we can tell some of the folks that are the high users to be able to whether get the water some other way or help us out with this.
And then obviously on that same slide, it's been on there for a little bit. I've been trying to get a hold of East Medina. They have not been very responsive, but we're trying to figure out where we're at on that interconnection. So I've had some email exchanges even as early as today on that. So hopefully we'll have maybe I can update y'all in my report next meeting. So on that. And then you can see there just the different stages and how many days we've been in each of those. And so obviously this reflects the zero, but as indicated, it's obviously much higher. So, and that is it on the report.
On the customer rereads, are these typically the same customers, or are these all new?
It can vary, Mike. It can vary. We've had a couple.
Repeated customers?
We have a couple that always want their meter checked, yes.
Okay. And I believe in one of the meetings we discussed
About a fee,
surcharge.
And Zach and I were just talking about that not too long ago. But that's something when he was rewriting the utility code, looking at utility codes and stuff, that is something that is on our plate.
I didn't put it in there, but now that we mentioned it,
Yeah,
so as we're doing the rewrite, I will.
Good with rereads.
Yeah.
And all
They are, and with the weather, we did have some line breaks. The boys were very busy, but we do have some people that always want their meter checked. So
that's fine if you're willing to pay the fee.
Yeah,
because that does take manpower.
Yes, sir.
Pete, the one by the nursing home, how far is that area that you have to figure out? Like from where you're trying to figure it out, wherever
We're trying to turn it off by the Chevron. There's a couple of valves there. We tried.
Oh, by the Chevron.
And then there's some on Gray Street and on Martin Street.
Yeah.
And then there's one on Hester. You just try to isolate a little certain area. But
there were a few that we turned, and I think it was on Gray, which actually affected Coal Mine and Bloom and Dawson. So, I mean, like areas that you wouldn't think would be affected. So we're really trying to figure out what's what, which is making it very difficult. So it could be a large area if we do find it, but obviously worst case scenario is we come in and drop the pressure like the mayor indicated.
I thought it was a little smaller than that.
Yeah.
I was going to say put a rod through it, try to figure out from one point to the other point, but I don't know if you can put one that long.
No.
Yeah.
You know what
Look
I mean?
at it, yeah. Look at it, and that's the thing. You got to remember some of these portions were, depending on when they laid the pipe down compared to others, and a lot of them have loops too. So you might close this one and be good, but it's coming on the back end on the other side.
A whole nother expressway down
To be
there.
able to do that. I know because you're going to take off after this and go into executive session. But I just want to say on behalf of all of us, thank you for everything that you guys are doing, and it's great that you guys are here. You guys were jobbing it in December and did a really good job all the way around. And it was not only doing the normal public work stuff, you guys were also helping Paola and the girls with the decorations. You guys were out there with a hayride, getting all the stuff. So, and you guys are in short staff. So, without a doubt, we appreciate you guys juggling everything and just making sure that things are taken care of. Okay? So, we really appreciate that.
The last thing I'll mention as far as the Polk Works report, I know that y'all have been asking for some of the checklists, and so I've had some conversations with the guys. They have been unable to locate what was there previously, so we are kind of somewhat starting from scratch, but we'll make sure that on the next report we do have some of that. So I know that's been a concern of some of the council. So just wanted to make sure I iterate that, and we'll make sure to have them for you. So.
Thanks, Council. Anything else? Thank you.
This for like the well, the sewer plant.
Yeah.
I already have that finished up. I just need to send it to you.
There you go. We'll be ready for the next presentation. That'll be good. All right, Richie.
This works. Hello.
Should, yes.
Monthly report for December there. Let's see, kind of roll through here pretty quick. Calls for service 201, December, slow, real nice, only 9 vehicle collisions, 4 alarms, 2 business, 2 residential. I mean, it was a really nice December. 152 business checks, 380 building checks, 271 citations, primarily speeding with 58 of those, 47 driver's license related, and still 36 no insurance. Oh, motor vehicle registration 90. I'm sorry I missed that one, so that would be the top one. That's interesting. But I will tell you, today I was driving around and we saw like 2 or 3 of them pass, and you can't really, it's not as easy to stop people as it used to be on Main Street, so when they drive.
Numbers were actually November?
Those should be December. December, I'm sorry. Yeah.
Okay.
Does this not go back, or am I? Oh, there you go.
But they would have been expired in November, right? They expired
Well,
in
no,
November.
no. The vast majority of tickets we write are some expire 6-8 months. Oh yeah. You're not. We normally we wouldn't write. Matt, help me if I'm losing track
30
here.
days plus.
30 days plus. So any tickets written in December would have expired minimally in October.
Got it.
You know, so but the vast majority were not expired in October. You know, Austin can tell you about in court. I mean, they go back. Some of them year and a half. I mean, it's
2021 this weekend.
yeah. So it's yeah. So it's not
working on it.
Yeah. Sometimes people tell you, well, I've just been busy, and I'm like, wow, you must be real busy. You know.
Was it a year ago? I mean, could it be a 2000 something, or was it like a 19
2000 something?
Yeah, they just don't. A lot of people see in a lot of large areas like San Antonio, you're not going to get. You know, the cops aren't around writing tickets. I mean, they're too busy. Their calls are stacked. So you could drive up in San Antonio for years with expired registration, and then you move down here, and we're right on top of it, and and that's what happens.
I'm sure you're. So while you're on the subject, in 2025, that's not going to be visible anymore. But is that part of your check when you do?
It's still visible.
Oh, so it's
They just did the inspection requirement.
so no longer your registration sticker will physically.
I'm talking about the inspection.
Yes. So physically for the officer, it's going to be the same. Of course, when we started, yes, when we started, there were two stickers: registration and inspection, and you'd write. A lot of them, both of them. But now, then they combine it to one sticker. So now there'll be one sticker, just no inspection. Now, how that will play out in the safety of vehicles, it's probably going to affect us some because before, people would be forced to get their horn to work or the headlights and whatever. And, but now we're not going to have that in Texas. So, we're probably going to be doing more tickets for equipment violations, I would think, than we did in the past because we're going to be we're going to be it. If we don't enforce it, if nobody else enforces it, the inspection stations won't be there anymore. I mean, they're not doing that anymore. Racial profiling, we'll have our other, I'll roll through that because there's nothing on there. Arrest, drugs, warrants, that's a pursuit deal, public intoxication, drugs, warrants. DWI, public intoxication, more warrants. DWI, more warrants. Assaults, warrants. Drug paraphernalia, public intoxication. So a lot of arrests, but nothing, nothing terrible that one there. Matt, was our sexual assault arrest, that was in January though, right?
No, the one that was just on there was from our case that I made.
Okay, so we did have a big case of sexual assault for child case that Matt worked. It was
3 counts.
3 counts, and it was a huge case as far as the time and manpower went into it. Search warrants, phones, social media stuff. I mean, I couldn't even. It's hard for me to even quantify if I tell you how many hours went into it, and it's really that's that one on 1223. The guy turned himself in, but. Anyway, terrible situation, but we got it taken care of. At least, we did our part of the system. That's all I can tell you. We can't fix those things. Only one burglary at Best Western. We had a seismic meter. I said that right. Taken from a work truck over there. Thefts. We had a utility trailer taken from Starcross Trail. It was recovered. Matt went up to San Antonio. He was real busy that week. Went to San Antonio, found it at a house, got it recovered. Not many property crimes in December. I attribute that to a lot. I don't know exactly why, but I can tell you this year we actually had 11 officers. We've never had that, and we were full staff with 11. We were able to have a lot of patrol out. Even with people on vacation, out sick, people on light duty. So I think it really paid off, and I think that we're seeing a payoff in having these more officers out on the road. And, I think it showed in December. We're very fortunate. Hopefully January will continue. Found kids' bike. 6 officers, mental health peace officer course. They took that over at the Camino Real, paid for it, and they hosted it. It was at the community center. Annexed, excellent class. Of course, it was a 3-day course now, right? 12-4. I can't remember 4. Anyway, 3-day course. Dates might be wrong on there. Then 12-4, 6, and 7. Anyway, wonderful class. that's what we deal with a lot of people with mental health issues. I mean, that's just a big part of our job now. So to get 6 people through that course was awesome, and not have to pay for it and not have to send them off anywhere and pay for food or hotels. But it's really a big win for us on bringing that here. Lockdown drills at the high school and the elementary and the primary, department head meetings. Of course, we had the hayride on the 14th. That worked out great. Filing cases with Atascosa County had 7 people, 6 people with 7 charges to the county attorney's office, 4 people, 4 charges, district attorney's office, and none with Medina. We've got some ready to file. Let me see, 11/28 through 12/25. We ended up with only 24 hours of overtime, which was wonderful because we had 178 hours of vacation taken, 23 hours of sick leave, and on top of that, about 30 or 40 hours of an officer who was an off-duty injury, who was doctor released him on light duty, so he worked in the office. So it worked out. We really did really well when you look at that over a 4-week period. I was afraid that month was going to get tough on us, but it came out great. Street Farms, that's a dispensary down at Brad Boyd's building. Of course, they finished up the IHOP inspection over there. U.S. Renal Care, they're required by state statute to have an annual fire inspection, and we did that one. Food trailer, a couple food trailers. I guess once we call them food truck, then we call them food trailer. I don't know. And Joker's Paradise, that is Matt and I were up there. That is a vape shop, I guess. Yeah. Up at Mr. Hack's building up here. Real nice. I mean, they did that's first class. I mean, everything was brand new. Display case is really nice in there. I mean, I don't smoke or anything, but anyway, it looked nice.
There's 2 smoker places there now?
So we have.
Yes, we have 2.
Well, one
next to
smoke places, and then we have a dispensary.
So that's different. There's 3, but dispensary is different because dispensary actually buys their marijuana type. What do you call it? Their THC from a place in California, and then they dispense it out, and they have all the records of what content is and everything. It's all. I don't know what it all is, but whatever.
That's all we're seeing out there now is the alleged legal side of it.
Smells like weed, looks like weed, but I guess we collect sales tax on it. I don't know. That might be about the best way to put it. I don't know. But it's legal, and we talk to the attorneys. That's just everything's. It's on the up and up at this point.
Legislature, I think, is taking it up.
They're hoping.
The intent wasn't there for what they wanted, so hopefully they ban it all again.
Yeah, open up.
So anyway, that's it. What else is new? Sergeant Hansen did retire, 20 years. He actually left a week before. I think he left a week before because he didn't want any kind of party or anything. I mean, he kind of was like real.
He didn't want a party.
He was really like, I don't want any. I did get him a plaque. We took the pictures with his phone, and surprisingly, then I realized the dude never sent me the pictures. So he eventually, I sweet talked him into sending me a picture, so I did get that at least. Over here, over 20 years, he was still active doing the military. He came on here as a reserve. I think he worked about 6 or 7 months while he was finished his retirement. A full-time position opened up, so he was with us a little over 20 years altogether. Hard-working guy, great guy. Said he really loved it here. He said he really thought when he got in law enforcement he would look back and it would be hard to top the way he felt after his military career. But he said, I feel like I made a bigger difference here because just the every day was a direct contact. So it was kind of neat, listen to him and kind of good guy you'd want on a recruiting video or something. So on the recruiting side, we have the 2 openings: a grant-funded position and the position that Sergeant Hansen vacated with his retirement. We advertised. We got 3 applicants. Surprisingly, we have 3 good applicants, and we're going to send a couple of them to polygraph right now within the next week or 2. Wonderful, of course, totally different when you're hiring these applicants. They investigate the city. They research. They tell things in the interview like, well, I noticed that there's nothing you can't find. Y'all city council's not in big turmoil. Y'all are not on the news for bad things. You're on there for good things. And they look at our equipment. They looked at the cars.
One physically came and rode with us.
He wanted to see. They want to.
Well, not just.
I mean, it's really interesting. But what it comes down to is, luckily, it starts obviously. I mean, I like to say I play a big picture part in it, but I'm just part of the wheel. One of the wheels. But the reality is it starts with y'all because we have to have the funding. We have to have decent pay. We have to have decent benefits. We have to have good equipment. and we have to have support of the community. So it starts with y'all, and then it comes down to, obviously, if y'all were great and then Zach was terrible, it wouldn't be great, you know. So we have to work as a team to where we can get, so they see that people see it's a positive environment here. We have a positive environment and a good community, and this is a place, and I told them, this is a place where people will appreciate you, and, you know, you're going to have fun, you know, and you're going to do a job that makes a big difference. So we're reaping the benefits, you know, of being, and they like seeing the growth because they know that means there's room further down the road for promotion, you know. They want to know how many of us are eligible to retire. They want to know this and that. I mean, these people are real, they do the research, and it's great. And we're just excited to keep moving in this direction, and we'll work with Zach to get them in there where they're, you know, fit in the grant-funded stages and all that, so the money works out, which is going to be, as of right now, it looks like it'll be great. Anyway, that's about it. Any questions? I rambled on a bit, but you know, it's been a slow night up here. A lot of boring stuff, so I, you know.
So we definitely appreciate everything that you guys are doing. Richie, we still want to talk about, at a later point, let's go ahead and talk about retirements.
God, you mean who? You mean mine, or what? Was this like a? Do I need to?
We need to talk about retirements and procedures for our employees. I think it's significant when we have somebody, so we definitely we need to get together and get that taken care of.
Well, I mean, I'm willing to do whatever y'all want to do, but the truth is, I can't force it.
20 years, and we need to make sure that we actually. And remember, this is a commitment that is not only about the officer; it's also about the family.
Sure.
And
I agree.
It's a huge commitment that goes along with that, so we need to be able to do that.
Well, I mean, I do what I can, but like I say, I don't know what. I mean, Zach and I talked about Gordon Lever. Gordon's been planning to leave for like 5 years. He's having those countdown watches in his office, you know.
We'll talk later.
So, but again, I respect officers. I have to respect an officer's wishes, no matter what.
You have to respect also the city of Lytle and what we represent.
Well, I mean,
So we'll talk later, but I just wanted to...
If you have an issue, just talk to Zach, and if he directs me how to tell people to retire, I will, but I can't hold a gun to someone, so I'm not sure what you're implying here.
I'm not saying about anything like that, but we need to talk about that because we need to make sure that we take care of our officers. So with that in mind, I just want to go ahead and say thank you to the police department. I do want to provide some kudos with all the things that you guys have actually done with the hayride, with taking care of a few things of ourselves. I will tell you that here recently I got pulled aside, and there's a retired state agent that is in this area, and he was overhearing some conversations. I guess he monitors the conversations. And he basically came back and said, out of all the cities around here, the most professional police officers in the sense of response time and taking care of stuff and everything actually comes out of Lytle PD. So that made it significant. I asked him if I could mention his name and talk about him, but he said, you know, it's very important that you guys just understand that there's other people watching. There's a lot of people that are retired, and there's other police officers that are actually do that. So I just want to go ahead and say, you know, kudos in front of the council in the sense of our police officers and what they're actually doing to do that. So we really appreciate it. Did you guys catch the news story? They did one on Richie with a drone, too?
That was Casey, I think. No, Ken. I'm sorry. Ken.
Yeah. So that came out on the news. So that worked out really good, too. It got us some positive coverage that went along with that. So kudos on that being able to do that. We appreciate you guys. I didn't want to miss out the opportunity in case we go to executive session and we actually miss on that. Okay? All right. With that in mind, well, actually, anything else? No? With our department heads? Let's go ahead and move on to item number 10, and we're going to go into executive session. The City Council, City of Lytle, may convene an executive session in accordance with the Texas Open Meetings Act, Texas Government Code Section 551.071, consultation with an attorney, Section 551.074, personal matters to discuss and consider the following items. I do want to mention on here that we are going to go ahead and talk about item K. This is with the possible action request of CPS Energy regarding taking ownership of the 7 overhead streetlights located in Las Palomas subdivision. And then we'll go into A, the employment and evaluation assignment duties, discipline and dismissal of the public officer or employee public works director, the employment evaluation and reassignment duties, discipline or dismissal of a public officer or employee public parks maintenance, and C, discussion concerning the City of Lytle Municipal Court Associate Judge monthly pay and responsibilities. And lastly, discussion concerning pending litigation, civil citation filed with Atascosa County District Clerk. Okay? With that in mind, if you can actually show us Paula, it's actually going in at 9:15, okay? And Council, if you can please meet us over there. Austin, you need the back one sec. Appreciate that. And thank you again for those that are going to take off or come back.